Okay, 2:59. Everyone would please stand, and Mr. Neal, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This is the Planning and Zoning Board / local planning agency. It's an advisory board which makes recommendations to the county commissioners who will make the final decisions on these items. Items H1 is an LPA item. Items on today's agenda will be heard by the county commission on February 5th, 2026 at 5 p.m. When a motion ends in any kind of split vote, a roll call vote may be taken to ensure accuracy. As a reminder, each member who makes a motion or a second needs to turn their microphone on so that your voice is on the record. Speakers for public comment on agenda items will be given 2 minutes. Please, when you come to the podium here, if you would, spell your last name for the record. At this time, if any board member has had any ex parte communication regarding any application, please disclose so now. All right, seeing that, I need a motion for the approval of the P&Z minutes from November 17th, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Neil, a second by John. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passed unanimously. We do have today, it's going to be a day that we need to elect the chair and the vice chair, and we were going to do that at the end of the meeting if nobody objects.
Are you running it down?
All right. So item H1.
Item H1 and H2 are companion applications. I'll read them into the record together. However, they're going to need a separate recommendation. Laughing Clown LLC requests a small-scale comprehensive plan amendment under 25S.15 to change the future land use designation from Res 2 to CC under application 25SS 00009 located in District 5. In H2, Laughing Clown LLC requests a zoning classification change from RP to BU-1-A under application 25Z 00028 located in District 5.
All right, is the applicant here? And sir, if you could state and spell your last name for the record.
Sure. My name is Clayton Bennett, Bennett, B-E-N-N-E-T-T. I'm the applicant for the project here with Bennett Engineering and Consulting, 4940 Ranch Lane Road. We're here, as mentioned, we have 2 applications. One is for the comprehensive plan to change the comp plan as well as the rezone. This is a developed piece of property that has previously been used for a dentist office, so it's a professional office, and the applicant would like to use it for a general retail to be approved. This is on Minton Road, which is a arterial roadway. Access would be granted, or it's currently off of Minton Road into the parking lot, so there would be no traffic pushed into the community and to the west. There was a letter that we received of objection, and I think part of that is on the traffic. And again, this is accessed off of Minton Road, so there would be no additional trips towards the west into the community. And then as well, it's an existing development, and they intend to comply with the county noise ordinance and lighting ordinance, and so we're not asking for any deviations from the county ordinances. If there's any specific questions on that, I'd be glad to answer that on the.
All right, well, Mr. Bennett, while I got you right there, I need to take this out to the audience. Is there anyone here want to speak for or against this item? That's really good news. Go ahead, stay put.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to close this then for public comment. So go ahead, proceed, sir. No, you're good.
Any questions of the board?
All right, seeing that, I'll bring it back to the board. We have any questions for Mr. Bennett? I'm going to need a motion then.
Motion to approve. Can we do 1 and 2 in the same motion?
No, just one.
Okay, motion to approve H1.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion, we got a second by Erica. All those on item H1, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item H1 passed unanimously. I need a motion on item H2.
Motion to approve H2.
Second.
Got a motion again and a second by Neil. All those in favor say aye on item H2.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And item H2 passed unanimously. Good luck at the county commissioner's office. Or meeting, I should say. Okay, item H3.
Item H3 is Strada Development LLC, being represented by Kim Rezanka. Request a zoning classification change from AU and RR-1 to SR with a BDP under application 25Z 00039, located in District 2.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I just want to let you know, my office is, I have not personally worked on this project, but my office is representing it, so I won't be voting on it, but I do think it's a good project.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
While Ms. Rezanka is setting up, I also want to mention that when this item went before the North Merritt Island Board, that they recommended denial. They also recommended a zoning of SEU or RR1.
Good afternoon, Chairman Wadsworth, members of the Planning and Zoning LPA Board. We are here on a rezoning of property in North Merritt Island off East Chrysophilia Road. It's 142 acres. It's zoned agricultural and RR1. The purpose of this is to do a subdivision of 61 homes. I know our BDP says that we'll limit it to 1 unit to the acre. We are now willing to limit it to 61 homes, which is less than can be developed per the staff report. Staff report says 70 could be developed. So with that, I'd ask you to consider that we would only be using 61 homes. With me today is Representative Miranda Katie Peck. She is the Director of Land Acquisitions. Miranda Home is under contract. Strada Development is a related entity. It's already been purchased, so they're hopeful that this rezoning goes forward so they can move forward. Also with me is Hassan Kamal with BSE, now LJA. He is the engineer of record, and he can explain some of the issues that have arisen. We did have a neighborhood meeting on December 15th. We had approximately 25 people from the neighborhood show up, and their concerns were maintenance of the road, the conditions of the road, traffic, stormwater, flooding, which you have heard most of the times. They also suggested that perhaps we could connect to Dalbora Road, but there's no public road or private access road that we could reach. It's all private property. Excuse me.
Don't mind me, I'm just making a reference.
We did attend the North Merritt Island Board, and those same issues were raised. The North Merritt Island Board failed to recognize that this property can't be developed because of the amount of wetlands. Their suggestion was, just put 1 acre lots over the entire property. Well, we're saving quite a bit of wetlands, as Mr. Hazan Kamal will tell you, Mr. Kamal, is that we're building only in the uplands, in the middle of the property of about 60 acres, I think is the number he used. So we can't do 1 unit per acre because we have to cluster, and that cluster allows us to preserve wetlands. Also, too, since we're only doing 61 units, we're doing less than what the staff report says we can do of 70. The staff report also comments about, lost my train of thought. About that the majority of the area here is AU. And that may be true, but if you look at where our property is, which on page 1 of what I handed you is the blue portion of that is the top portion of this 142 acres, and it's next to SR, which is what we're seeking, suburban residential, half-acre lots. We're willing to commit to half-acre lots. The SR to the east is Island Forest Preserve, which you're going to hear a lot of complaints about today. Miranda has purchased lots in that, but Miranda was not the developer of that property. They are now developing homes in those individual lots. SR was done by Island Forest Preserve at SR, but they used the open space subdivision concept, which allowed them to use quarter acres. We are committed to not doing that and to doing half-acre lots. So we'll be a transition from the quarter-acre lots to the half-acre lots to the larger lots. But there are quite a bit of RR1. There's that SR is over 100 acres. So there is variety. Also to the north is PIP, which is unusual as well in this area. So what I did provide to you as well, this flooding and stormwater is a huge issue. You'll likely hear complaints that the canals aren't draining properly, and we understand that. We've committed to doing what we can to help with the canal drainage, and Mr. Kamal will talk about that as well. But section 62-3724 on page 3, section 4, this is the portion of the code that was adopted, I think, in 2019 due to issues that came about in North Merritt Island. This requires a special modeling program for anything developed north of Paul Road. It's only been used by one other subdivision, to my knowledge, Pine Grove subdivision to the north that's being developed by Titan. And so it is a special criteria that is to ensure that, as page 2 of this project says, there will be no net change in the rate of volume of floodwater discharge from pre-development floodplains. So that is a site plan issue. It doesn't say you don't approve new, nothing in the code says you don't approve new zoning because of existing flooding problems. We just can't contribute to them with this development, and they won't. The other issue that was raised is the condition of this road. It is a squirrely road. It's got two 90-degree turns. You'll hear about accidents that have happened. It seems like people do not listen to the laws, and in fact, there are speed humps on the road. And people say there are too many trips on this road, too many cars on this road, but in order to put speed humps on the road, which was just done recently, there had to be less than 1,500 vehicles per day. So this, although it is an unusual road, it's not got too many trips on it, and this won't generate too many trips. Page 6 is the FDOT, basically generation manual of what you can have, your average daily trips. And if you look at the third column, a 2-lane road, level D, which this would be under the county standards, in theory, they could have 14,000 trips on that road. It doesn't make sense to have 14,000, but this road is not at capacity. If there are issues with people not abiding by the speed limit or things like that, as page 5, which this was pulled from Brevard County, they should contact the sheriff's office. And I understand that doesn't always work, but the speed humps are there to hopefully help, but there is limited traffic on East Crisafulli Road. Also, issues were raised about the drawbridge and how that contributes to people getting in and off the island. The drawbridge is not open during peak hours, which generally is when people complain about traffic. So on page 7 and 8, I just pulled this from the Cruising Authority. It was actually a marina website, and it talks about the hours of operation, that the Krista McCullough drawbridge is closed between 6:15 and 8:15 and 3:10 p.m. and 6 p.m. So I understand these are issues that have been raised for anything that's been developed in North Merritt Island, and these aren't issues that can be solved with this particular development and won't be increased by this particular development. So with that, we're requesting rezoning from RR1 and AU to SR with the BDP limiting this development to 61 units. With that, I'd like to introduce Katie Peck to tell you a little bit about Miranda, what they plan to do, their price point, things like that. And then Mr. Kamal will talk about the concept plan that's been developed. It hasn't been reviewed by staff, but it's a concept plan to show the 1/2 acres and the access and things like that. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Katie Peck, Director of Land Acquisitions for Miranda Homes, and just here to present the project with Kim on our behalf. We're currently building an Island Forest Preserve and have had great success out there, and we had the opportunity to purchase this property. And with that, we've taken a lot of good care and review of coming up with a concept plan that works really well on 1/2 acre lots in the upland areas of the site, knowing that the property is primarily wetland. So there's a lot of preservation that's going to be occurring. And obviously, as we go through the construction planning, the engineering, we'll make sure that we follow the model that is being required up in the area. And there's a concept of basically the monument entry that we're looking to do. And we'll be looking to build the same product that we're currently building in Island Forest Preserve.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good afternoon. My name is Hassan Kamal with BSC Consultants, with a civil engineer for the project. Just a brief overview of the project in a little more engineering detail. The site's 142 acres on the north side of East Crisafulli Road. Of the 142 acres, the development footprint based upon the concept plan that we provided you copies of and you see on that map is going to be approximately 50 to 55 acres is what actually we're developing, which means about 85 to 90 acres of the property, or about 60%, is going to be preserved either as existing wetland preservation areas or the upland buffers that are associated with that. So a relatively small, less than 40% of the property is actually slated for development. The current plans anticipate a total of 61 lots. All will be a minimum of a 1/2 acre size, consistent with the requested zoning classification. The lots will be served by the City of Cocoa for potable water, and we'll have an on-site sanitary sewer lift station which will collect the domestic waste and pump to the existing force main on Crisafulli Road. So there'll be no septic tanks associated with the project. Drainage for the site will be provided by a series of pipes, inlets, and the stormwater ponds that you see. The plan that you see is preliminary in nature, but we are well aware of the very strict stormwater criteria that's applicable to this area. We've already had some preliminary meetings with county staff and their consultants regarding the detailed model, and have started working that. As we go through the process, when we go post-zoning into the land development portion of, we'll continue working with staff. And the requirements are that any of these projects that are within that, we have to do a basin-wide model and confirm that there's no adverse impacts from our project. So in addition to the state criteria that we have to meet, we also have to meet some very strict project-specific criteria from Brevard County. The proposed wetland impacts to the site are minimal. We're subject to the limitation of 1.8% of wetland impacts, which is approximately 2.5 acres. The concept plan that you see in front of you is consistent with that limitation. We're going to be under that, and that'll also be resolved both with Brevard County's Office of Natural Resources as well as with the local or the state agencies. I think that's all I have on my presentation. Mr. Rezanka talked about some of the audience comments, which are generally dealt with during a detailed engineering and site plan approval through the county, and I'll be available to answer any specific questions about the concept plan.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, do we want to start drilling now or wait till the end?
We can do either or. I can go out for public comment and see what we have or do.
Well, maybe if we ask some questions, it'll minimize on some of the questions that the public may have.
Okay. Well, let's drill now.
Husan, if staff, you may want to answer this for me. If we left it ag, which it is now, what would their single-family residence entitlement be?
Are you ag over the entire property or
With
leaving the
this piece
AU
of
and the
property,
RR1?
What would, under normal conditions, what would they be allowed to do under ag?
So
That's
under the ag in that RR1 that they currently have,
That's
they
correct.
can have 70 units. I believe it's something like 40-something in the AU.
Repeat that number?
70 total right now. Would be 40-something units in the AU and I believe 20-something in the RR1.
Okay.
But that does not account for wetlands. Thank you, Alex.
Okay. The road, East Crisafulli, have you done any analysis of the road configuration is in that? It's width. It's really, I mean, without, a lot of people are going to tell you it's substandard. It's some areas it's 17, some it's 18, and every now and then you might see 20. So it's,
We haven't done any structural analysis or any, I mean, we've done surveys. We know the road widths in front of the project. We're aware of the speed limit. We know that a project of this size that we're proposing would add, based upon the IT trip generation, around 600 trips per day or 60 trips per hour on the peak hour. But we have not done a structural analysis of the roadway.
okay. Did the, you've actually got two accesses to this property. You've got one that's further to the north, and it's in the first bend, we're going to call it the first 90-degree bend. You have access to this piece of property. Have you looked at that to do any
I think
geometric
the
alignments or anything?
The challenge with any access besides what we've shown is that would involve significant wetland impacts, which would push us over the 1.8% limitation.
So it's beneficial to you more so than the people that may live up there?
Yeah, I know we've looked at the north one. We don't have any ownership to the north. But I know going to either the east or the west, or even shifting the driveway or the entrance location further west on Crisafulli would involve additional wetland impacts.
Yeah. In your technical analysis that you're going to do, wouldn't it be worthwhile to take a look at that and see if it falls within the scope of this project?
We can certainly make some estimates with the wetland impacts. We'd obviously have to work with the state as well as Brevard County to see what those total wetland impacts would be.
See, some of the things that I see is Crisafulli's, some improvements have got to be made. And we're right on the threshold right now. And technically, we need to, you're the last guys in. So it's just always when the last guy gets to not really reap from the benefits, but make the necessary improvements from what everybody else has done. The subdivision way to the east, et cetera, it's in Miranda too. They didn't have to do anything. Nobody's had to do anything to Crisafulli. And I am just extremely reluctant to allow anybody else in there without, some improvements have got to be made. And it's easy for me to say, but it's all prescriptive rights. So let me tell you, nobody's going to raise their hand and say, hey, you come get my 10 acres or 5, or 5 feet. So that's a situation now. Did you all look at, to the north is Dalbora, and it's, on paper, it looks to be so simplified to get, to have access to the north part and eliminate, it's easy for me to say, but you can eliminate some of the impact that's going to be added to East Crisfully. Did you all even think about that, or?
I know they don't own the property to the north. The other problem, I think, is my understanding that the roads to the north are not public right-of-ways, they're private lanes. So we haven't evaluated what those improvements would need to be in order to bring those up to acceptable public right-of-way standards. But I don't think they're public roads right now.
Husan, I think you've heard it from probably 500 people before you got here, but you haven't heard it from us. There's a lot of water up there. Is there possibilities that you guys can expand your retention areas to accommodate some of the East Crisfully water?
There is a possibility. We obviously have to study that very detailed model and work with county staff on that. We've got even before doing the engineering, we've got a pretty good understanding of where the water is coming from and the volumes associated with it and how to deal with that. So if there's opportunity there, working with county staff to slow that water down or accommodate some of it and still meet the criteria, and we're capable of doing that, we'll certainly evaluate that and see if we can work it into the system.
Well, I don't know how far this is going to go, so that's just some of my thoughts initially, because I have a little knowledge of that, so. That's it.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes,
Am I
sir.
in order to ask a question about wetlands at this point?
I'm sorry, I couldn't, is your microphone on?
Thought it was on. Would I be in order to ask a question about wetlands at this point?
Yes, that's fine.
We were hearing just now that you've met the 1.8% requirement for preserving wetlands.
I'm having a hard time beginning that.
Can you get a little closer to your microphone?
Sorry, thank you. We're hearing that you met the 1.8% requirement for preserving wetlands. And maybe I'm not understanding, but I'm looking at one of the maps. This is FLU CCS wetlands. And this shows nearly half the property covered by wetlands. So I'm wondering, is this irrelevant? Am I looking at the wrong thing? Or if not, how do you handle this?
Well, so the process is we're limited to impacting no more than 1.8% of the total property. So we've got 142 acres. So we're maxed out at around, I'm giving you rough numbers, 2.5%. I'm sorry, 2.5 acres. So we have, the client has hired environmental company to go out there and field flag the wetlands. They're in the process of meeting with the state agencies to verify those lines. And those are very, very close to what you're seeing on the plan right now. But that's all going to be done through the permitting process, both with Brevard County and the Water Management District. And Brevard County's criteria is the one that's 1.8%. The Water Management District doesn't have that criteria. They have different criteria for what's allowable. But that's really going to be governed by Brevard County. So that's something that happens through the detailed subdivision approval process. But just to kind of give you an idea, and I don't know if you have the exhibit that shows that, on the maps that we provided, The heavy green line is the preliminary wetland lines, the heavy green coloring, I'm sorry. And the lighter green coloring is the upland buffers that would be preserved around the wetlands. And everything inside it, we've identified, you can see some of the red shading and hatching. Those are areas that are, on a preliminary basis, would describe the areas that are going to be impacted. And that's what's less than the 1.8%.
Thank you for responding. I'm not sure if I understand, but I'll listen.
Okay, Ms. Ruth?
Do we know approximately how many acres there are in wetlands on that property?
There you go. Thank you, Ruth.
It's probably pretty close to the 85 to 90 acres, and we haven't done a formal delineation yet, but we're preserving almost all the wetland. Well, let me take that back. It's going to be a little bit less than that because some of what you see in the light green are uplands that are going to be preserved associated with that. So I would probably say somewhere between 70 to 80 acres of existing wetlands are on the property.
So about half then?
In round numbers, that's accurate.
Thank you.
We have any other questions there for the applicant, Mr. John?
Yes, Kim, hi. You said you're putting 1 unit per acre on the entire site?
We're actually going to put 2.33, 1 unit per 2.33 acres, because we're limiting ourselves now to 61 units, even though we could put 70 by the existing zoning now.
By the AU. The flag lot, 231-6617, is designated to have quarter-acre lots.
You mean the property to the east?
To the east of it, yeah.
Yes, that's 'cause
which
they
is in
use-
part of yours.
No, that's not part of ours. That was Island Forest Preserve. That was developed by Chad Giannone. That was,
No, not the big one, the smaller one. It's got your name on it, Strada.
oh, well, it's all being rezoned. It's all, those 4 units of, those 4 parcels have all been combined for this rezoning.
Okay, so you're not going to keep that 1 quarter-acre designation?
Well, I don't see that on my map, so.
Yeah, I know,
don't-
it's not shown on your
Yeah.
maps, but it is shown on the appraisal district website.
That, is it 515? Is that what you're talking about? That's not part of this. If that's
No,
the
it's-
flag lot.
No, 6617.
No, that is part of this zoning application. So yes, that will be pulled into that.
Okay, so that'll change that, what the original designation was?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm having difficulty bringing up on my computer here the wetlands.
Well, this is in your package, the
Yeah.
map package, and that's, Mr. Wise, all the white on this is uplands, right? So that's where the development will be, is where the white, where the uplands will be.
Okay, that's all I got.
I have a question for staff.
Yes, Ms. Ruth?
For staff, can I get some clarification, please? If about half of it, 70 acres, is in wetlands, would that make it unbuildable to 1 home per 5 acres if it's in 70 acres is in wetlands? I asked him how much was in wetlands. He said roughly about 70 acres. Wetlands, doesn't that, it would be 1 home per 5 acres in wetlands?
Yes, in wetlands, it would be 1 home per 5 acres, but they're not constructing in the wetlands, and so they can impact 1.8% of their total acreage of wetlands. So they can impact 1.8% of the 142 acres
Right.
of the wetlands.
The question was asked if currently how it sits, how much could be developed out? And if half of it's in wetlands and it takes 1 home per 5 acres instead of 1 home per 2.5 acres, wouldn't that be considerably less than 70?
Well, Jane is from Natural Resources is also joining us, but I also believe, as Mr. Hassan already stated, that they can only impact about 2 acres of the wetlands.
So subdivisions, they are, under our code, Trina stated it correctly, they can impact 1.8% of the total area of the parcel, the acreage.
No, I understand that. If it weren't developed into subdivision, I was trying to come up with a number of homes that would be sitting on that property. That's all.
Let me see if I understand this. So it's ag now, so that's 2.5 homes per acre, but half of it's wetlands, which would limit it to 1 home. I said that backwards. It's ag now, so it's 1 home on 2.5 acres, but if half of it is wetlands, then that's 1 on 5. Is that what you're getting at? Yeah, so I follow. So that's not 70, it's half of 70 plus.
It's actually not the way you calculate. I mean, semantically that makes, it sounds good, but it doesn't relate that way. Am I trying to answer you? It's somewhat of the opposite. I mean,
I understand.
they're going to be on smaller lots.
Sure.
Yeah.
But in a hypothetical sense, when you ask how many homes could be built on the property the way it's zoned now, 2.5, you can't just blanket it with 2.5 because part of it's wetlands, so some of those would have to be on 5. Is that right? Am I doing that math correctly?
So, because this is a subdivision and not just an individual lot, they'd have to do a subdivision, and so that particular part of the code, from my understanding, wouldn't apply. They couldn't do 1 unit per 5 acres. They would have to do the 1.8%. Is that correct?
That's correct. The 1.8% is basically 1 unit per 5 acres. It's just been calculated out. Usually it's for smaller lots that come in that are under 5 acres and that were established post-1988. So if they don't have 5 acres, they could impact 1.8% of the property's wetlands. For parcels that are greater than 5 acres, they could do the 1.8%. But for subdivisions, we usually just go ahead and it's the 1.8%.
So is 70, the way that it's zoned now, ag, you could put 70 homes with the wetlands that are there? So what is that number? Do we have that number?
Are you, in a hypothetical, are you saying the 70 acres as one parcel itself, or?
As it's
No,
zoned, right?
2.5 acre, the way that it's zoned with ag, it's really the same question Henry asked. Is the way it's zoned now, how many lots?
So,
buildable lots.
So the way that it's zoned now, with just the AU portion, not the RR1 portion, the AU portion would be 47 lots. That's not with counting the wetlands. With the wetlands, they still would only be able to impact the 1.8% of the total acreage of the wetlands, or total acreage of the property in wetlands.
I think ultimately what needs to happen is a wetland study needs to be finalized so that we can calculate out what the actual acreage of wetlands are on the property as a whole, and then deduct that based on the 1.8%. So maximum is 70 units, right? Total, right now in the best pristine condition, but with wetlands, it'll obviously drop down.
Okay.
Exactly. So I think we do need that number to make a good decision.
I think so too. Okay, thanks.
Ms. Kim, could you come back up, please?
I just want to clarify, the zoning is RR1 and AU, and with strict zoning, the max could be 70. The wetlands, the access, the road, what has to be improved, those are all site plan plating issues that are not before you yet. You can ask for conditions to be added to a BDP, such as the 61 units. But the SR, the half-acre lots, is what we're trying to do. And if it comes up that the wetlands are greater than that and we can only do less than 61, then we have to do less than 61. But wetlands is a separate criteria from zoning. Any other questions? Okay.
Is there anyone in the audience want to speak for or against this item? Sir, if you would state your name and spell your last name for the record, please.
They always want me to come up first, so. Anyway, my name is Terry White, W-H-I-T-E, and I live just south of this proposed development. Okay. My neighbors, if they're going to come up, will talk about the traffic issues, but East Crisafulli cannot handle the current traffic issues, the condition of the road and that. And we've been asking for a traffic survey of the road that would spell out that it has a lot more cars than what they're saying is on there. So the last little bit of study they did was reference to the speed humps, and they only monitored down where they wanted to put the speed humps, and a lot of people turned north or south prior to the speed humps. So anyway, the developments that have been built in the past 25 years in this area have raised the groundwater levels. The retention ponds hold water, but they increase the water level of the surrounding area at the groundwater levels. My land stays wet longer after storms than it did when I first purchased the area. Officials say it is because I live in a bowl, but it was not always a bowl until the development of the past few years has made the water levels in my area rise up. I was not required to have flood insurance on the property in 1993 when I purchased it. And bottom line is, my land isn't sinking. The water around there is coming up and impacting my land. In 1968, Congress created a floodplain management plan. What I'm interested is, does this project comply with the federal plan? Does Brevard County's water management comply with the federal plan? And does North Merritt Island comply with the federal plan? And then I want to know, are the developers aware that the current pumps on Pine Island Road and Hall Road that handle the storm water, like the recent storm we had in October, have they figured out that that's handling the water up here? Because it's not, and it's even worse when Blue Origin turns on their pumps. So, last thing, all right, I thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
I asked, though, is there anyone in the audience want to speak for or against this? Because if there's a bunch of people, I don't know if you want to get one spokesperson, you get longer than 2 minutes then. I mean, I would work with you. There's no one else wants to speak for or against this? Okay, because we just, if y'all.
Any of these folks that were at that meeting the other night, is there anybody that can speak for a fistful of us?
The only thing we're trying to prevent, ladies and gentlemen, is we don't want to hear the traffic, we don't want to hear the flood, and we've already heard all that.
Correct.
You know, if you have a new item, please come forward and speak. But if you're just saying the same thing we've been hearing, please bear with us.
Well, it is the same thing. I mean, I've been out there 40 years.
But
Hang
sir,
on.
if you
My
could-
name's Robert Adams, A-D-A-M-S. And I know that the road is substandard. I also know that it was put together for orange trucks and buses with workers on it. And the groves were pumped all the time. My house is 2 feet above the crown of the road, and I had water this past time 6 inches from being in my house for the first time in 40 years. That's after the little subdivision up the way, and now you want to put another one in. And as far as anything new, I don't know what else could be new. We don't understand why they don't listen to us when we tell them that. Does anybody here know whether or not all the figuring you've been doing, did the 17 inches of rain get that memo that you
we're going to have too much water up there the last time in October? And how many of you walked this preserve area that you want to be in after that rain or during that rain, and tell me how much of that was still above the water? That are things that you need to think of when you're cranking houses out here. I mean, it's just, we don't have, I can't jack my house up. I also heard the last time that when they look around for building homes out here, when I built my home 40 years ago, I had to build 2,000 square feet on my acre, or I couldn't build. Last time I heard it was 1,250. So everything changes except for the surrounding area. We don't have anything, and we don't know who else to speak to. And they use goofball studies for cars, and it doesn't do us any good. So that's what most of these folks here are fussing about, and we just don't.
If you could get near the microphone.
I'm sorry.
there.
How are the teeth of this group any good when you go to the commissioners, or do they blow you off like they blow us off? I can think that's our question.
All right.
Okay, thank you very much. I
Thank you, sir.
appreciate the living daylights out of it.
Okay.
Good afternoon. I'm Mary Watkins, W-A-T-K-I-N-S. I am a native Floridian. I have worked for the county in building and development. I have worked for St. John's River Water Management District and flood control, data collection. Both of those were over 10 years worth of employment. And I'm aware of a lot of the situations. Water takes the path of least resistance. Yes, you've heard about flooding. I'm going to ask the engineer directly, how many times have you been out to North Merritt Island after the rains? Any amount of rain, 5 inches, 15 inches, 17 inches, I don't care. I've lived out there since 1985. I have seen the water get progressively worse. Anytime you dig through a hard pan, which was done in Island Preserve, to build their little lake, you're pushing the water somewhere else. That will happen. That is a known fact. I question you cubicle engineers, and I call you cubicle engineers because you sit in front of a computer and model. Come out after the rains and look at it. That's all I have to say about that. Now, with regard to traffic, I have had to sell my Mini Cooper because I can't get it over the speed bumps. I have a neighbor that sold a Maserati because he couldn't get it over the speed bumps. Nobody asked us out on Broadacre Street if we wanted those speed bumps. So I think we need to look at everybody that has been there for some time and consider that. And my next question also is, how much dirt are you going to bring in to bring the level of this property up to at least 2 feet above the center line of which road? Thank you. Have a great afternoon.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Well, getting back to the subdivision, the flooding, the traffic, et cetera, is pretty much everyone's concerns, correct? I would highly recommend everyone here that wants to speak, go to the county commissioners meeting. We are just an advisory board. And what's in front of us right now is just zoning. You know, it's not about, they haven't even went through permitting or even started the process. And once that happens, they're going to be held to a very high standard. And the man that was doing the speaking right here has been here longer than probably all of us put together. So, and he knows Merritt Island. He lives there. We're discussing. So, I mean, I still will bring people up, but I mean, we're well aware of this. Everyone on the board knows everyone's issues. Go to the county commissioners meeting because we are just an advisory board. And the only thing we actually have is we need to determine whether or not we want to rezone this. And then they're going to be going through hoops to make this happen. Because there's, Kim, if you could come back to the mic, please. you still haven't delineated a wetland-upland line, is that correct?
It has not been approved by St. John's or the
Okay.
county, to my knowledge.
So see, when that gets either expanded or shrunk, the engineer there, you've been doing this a long time, that's going to determine units. And Jared, what you said, in fact, I need to bring this back to the record, items H1 and H2, I didn't mention Jared's name, he made the first motion, but anyway.
It's my only claim to fame.
All right. Can I ask a question for the staff?
Yes, sir.
Not sure if I'm in the right order, but I'd like to know, we read in the notes that the transportation corridor will not be affected adversely by this traffic. I'd like to know when the last study was done of traffic in that corridor, the study that you're basing your recommendation on.
So there is no available data for East Christofoli. The preliminary traffic concurrency was done for the segment of North Courtney. That is the closest traffic concurrency points that we can get. So I'm not able to answer the question about the
So
traffic on East Christofoli.
And the study of North Courtney was when?
The last traffic count would be 2024 was the last traffic count for
Thank you.
North Courtney.
Does the board have any questions for either Kim or the engineer?
Yeah, I've got some suggestions. Husan, you want to come back up? When you're doing your analysis on the drainage, can we try to take into account a broader or a larger retention area that can handle the water from both the portion on East Christofoli as well as the subdivision? Can we incorporate those two distributions?
So I want to make sure I understand your question. So your suggestion would be when we're doing the subdivision design analysis and the stormwater design, to take a look at the drainage that's coming from the portion of Christofoli Road adjacent to the property and see if we can incorporate that? Yeah, I mean, that's something we can certainly do and see what the impacts are. That's a feasible process to go through.
Kim, you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Because if this board does any approving, I'd like to put that into BDP. I don't want that to get away because I think it's extremely critical. Kim, on this, I read your DDP and I went through it. And you didn't have, and this may be a little out of the ordinary, but I want to do an NTE. You're an attorney, you know what an NTE is? Not to exceed.
Okay.
I know you'd be happy about it. You know, I'd hate to see that area, if it's approved, to exceed 60 units. So, I mean.
Are you okay with 61?
I know you guys. You guys are going to get in there and you're going to do the calcs and there's going to be 68.
We've agreed to limit it to 61 in the BDP. I can't answer, Miranda will have to answer as to 60.
Okay, but if that's in there, I'd like you to put it in the BDP.
Yes, sir.
Okay. There's no reason why you guys can't collect some data for the county to do the ADTs on the road.
Well, what's likely, and you're absolutely right, what likely is going to happen, or what does happen with each of these subdivisions, is that when we go through the land development process, staff will require a traffic impact study, which will include the traffic volumes on Crisafulli. We'll obviously hire a traffic consultant to do that and make the evaluation as well as traffic volumes and trip distribution on Crisafulli.
Well, I was just trying to beat the staff to it. That's all. If that's what, I know the staff's going to do it. Do you have any indication what the finished floor elevation's going to be on the houses?
We haven't obviously said any, but I would expect that site will probably take at least 3 feet of fill for the finished floor. It may be a little bit more in certain places.
Above the crown of East Crisafulli?
Well, above, I haven't done that analysis compared to the crown. I'm talking about above existing grade, but if I look at that as elevation, I could do the comparison, but I don't have that information right off the top of my head.
Because I think that's extremely critical. What the newer houses are doing, I think is imperative to what Miranda would like to do in there as well.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, okay. Those were some comments I had, and I know, Kim, you marked everything down, I'm sure.
I guess I have a question for staff. I know you said under pristine conditions, we'd get 70 units in there, and I guess I'm still stuck on how many units would actually fit. So for me to make a decision, or a recommendation, feels like we need to know what's more realistic. It was sort of Jared's question that you had asked previously. We don't have an answer to it.
Again, the previous answer, it's still the same answer. Without knowing the total amount of wetlands on the property, we could not make a determination of actually how many houses they could actually fit on there.
Now, if I could just add on top of that, another layer, I believe Mr. Minibu referenced, but you could set that as the cap, right? I mean, 61 maximum subject to the wetlands. I think that's implied already because they have to go through the subdivision plan and meet all the county codes and regulations. So again, it's until we can identify what acreage is the wetlands, that will dictate how many units can be developed.
Okay.
Are you good, Ms. Erica?
I think I am good. So you're saying, so as part of the binding development plan, we would say, subject to what's buildable, right? Subject to our rules and regulations regarding floodplains.
If that's the
wetlands,
pleasure of the
right?
board, yes, ma'am.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. John?
No, it's difficult for us to make a decision on this when you don't have all your information together. We don't know the wetlands. We don't know what the traffic analysis is. It's just, usually when people come before us, we have more information to make an intelligent decision. On this one, I don't think so. I think we're guessing, okay? And it's always, well, we'll look into this, we'll look into that. Just give us the zoning first, and then we'll proceed. I don't know. I would rather have more information.
Can I respond to a couple of those comments?
Sure.
For clarity? So specific to the wetland question, and maybe we did accurately convey the status of, the lines that you see here are preliminary in basis. There's been a substantial amount of field work that's done that. What hasn't been done is that we haven't taken the agencies out. And the process, this is just the way the process works. Once an environmental consultant delineates it, then they go out with the agencies and confirm that. And that just, the nature of this business is that just happens at a later process. So we're not guessing where the wetland lines are. We've got a very, very good idea. And they may change a little bit when we go out with the agencies. So we're very, very comfortable that at the end of the day, it's going to look very, very similar to what we've conceptualized on the plan. The traffic, I don't disagree that there hasn't been a traffic study done, but we also know that we've got 61 units. When a traffic study is done, there's established trip generation rates that all the traffic consultants use that assign a number of trips per unit. and that's generally between 9 and 10 trips per unit. So we're looking at about 600 trips per day out of that subdivision. And so we haven't gone downstream and seen if there's any impacts to intersections like that, but we know the traffic volumes are coming out. So we do have some of that information. And like we mentioned and committed to earlier, that those traffic studies are for a project of this scope are generally done at the land development process.
That's true. Tell me, go back to the wetlands. What maps or data are you using for the situation there currently?
Well, they go out on the site and they walk the wetlands. They
No,
look
have
at-
you done that?
I'm sorry?
Has that been done?
Yes, that's what those lines are from. They look at the vegetative indicators.
No, I know
they look at
how it's done.
Water levels and so on.
But my question is, you're not just using the maps from the county.
No. This is all based upon ground truthing, walking the site, spending days out there evaluating vegetation, water levels, soils, so on. It's a pretty detailed process. It's not just done based upon aerial photography.
No, I understand that. I just want to know what you were using, because the maps from the county are from the 70s.
Yeah, no, we're not using those maps. It's based upon actual
So
site
actual
conditions.
feet on the ground?
As of the current conditions, yeah.
And what he's telling you is the truth, because I looked at the study, so that he didn't arbitrarily, he didn't have anything to do with it, so it's pretty good. I'd said that wrong. Hussein's extremely capable, and that wasn't his
No, I just
data,
wanted
but
to-
it was professionally done.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that you actually did that, boots on the ground, rather than take
Absolutely.
the existing data that was available through the county.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
May I ask another question?
No, sir, I'm sorry. You had your shot at us, but I haven't yet. But I'm still waiting on comments from the board back to the applicant or the engineer.
Seems
Do we
like
have
we
any
kind
more?
of got off of format. Is public comment closed?
No, not yet.
Okay. Okay, I have some, but I can wait till after that.
Is there anyone else want to speak for or against this item? Okay, sir, if you would come up and state your name and spell your last name for the record.
My name's William Bell, B-E-L-L. I live on East Crisafulli Road. I'm curious about this fill section they keep talking about. They're going to bring the level up 3 to 4 feet. Back here a year or so ago, when I wanted to put a shed on my property, I was told I couldn't change the elevation, I couldn't do nothing. I couldn't bring no dirt in, I couldn't take no dirt out. How do they plan on bringing this level up?
Sir, that's going to be all with design, with the
Yeah.
engineer, with stormwater retention, et cetera, et cetera.
All right. And also, can I leave these pictures here with the devastation?
Well, you would have to get those checked in over there.
Okay. Over here.
Are you done?
That was just a comment, the fill section, I just wanted to show them pictures of the devastation of the Mylan Forest Preserve that was supposedly not going to impact any flooding on the road. And probably 80% of the water on that road's coming from there.
Okay. Anyone else want to speak for or against this item? Sir, if you would, come on up. Hopefully we know the drill now. State your name and spell your last name.
I did. I'll make it quick. My name is Chris Cook, C-O-O-K. I'm representing the North Merritt Island Homeowners Association. They sent me down here. We're over 450 homeowners north of the Barge Canal, and they reviewed this application and recommended denial on it for many of the reasons you're looking at. The flooding, the roads, there's people came, I think when the road is completely overflowed, they couldn't get access. When it was stranded in her home for like 3 or 4 days, she couldn't get out. So we're looking at last year, the state of Florida had over 8 100-year floods. In the past year in Brevard County, in 5, I think we've had a 1 in 1,000 year and 1 in a 500-year flood. And not only is this in a flood zone, we have to evacuate. And also, it's in the surge zone. You don't talk about the surge, when a surge comes. So anyways, it's messed up. And so adding more increased density to this area just doesn't make sense. We recommended that they do also, what wasn't talked about yet was the rural character of the neighborhood. Half-acre lots are not rural in character. I think what might be a good solution here is to make them put in 1-acre lots, have it the SEU zoning on it. The wetlands will take care of itself. They'll be roughly be about half of what they want to put in 61. But I think it'll increase the land values, it'll increase the impacts on the road and the flood in the whole area, and it's just something to think about. And that's all I had to say. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Anyone else want to speak for or against this item? All right, I'm going to say it one more time, and I'm going to close it. Anyone else want to speak for or against this item? Okay, I'm going to close it for public comment. Kim, we bring it back to you, and board, do we have any questions or anything for Kim?
Kim, did you get everything I had suggested?
I do. And as I started off this presentation earlier saying we would limit to 61. If you're dead set on 60, I need a response from Rhonda. I can't.
Let's don't debate over one lot.
Okay. So, and again, before we go to preliminary plat, a traffic study will be done on this road. We will do whatever the county says has to be done to upgrade it. If some of this was caused by Island Forest Preserve, the developer, that should be taken into account as well. Mr. Giannoni did put in water, sewer, and reclaim, and he did go back and fix it. I've heard from the residents he didn't do a very good job. But again, that was done. The county may require a performance bond. We don't know yet. But they don't want to harm anyone. They want to look at the water, which Henry will put that in the BDP, excuse me, Mr. Menabo. And again, the reason they're seeking SR is because of the wetlands. Preservation of wetlands and clustering is in the comp plan and in the land development regulations. That's to keep the wetlands to do their jobs. So that is why they want to build just in the uplands and only impact 1.8%. The conditions of this property don't allow 1-acre lots. Otherwise, we'd ask for RR1. They've done the engineering. This used to be ag lands. It's not ag lands anymore. It's got wetlands that weren't there before because of the agriculture and the ditches and things like that. So this property has changed its use. It's no longer ag. The conditions have changed where it's no longer usable for ag, and they want to put in subdivisions, single-family homes, 1/2 acre lots, which are compatible with the area. Single family to single family, 1/4 acres to the east, 1/2 acres here, and then 1 acre in other sizes. There's nothing in the comp plan or the administrative policies that says anything about you must show what your wetlands are when you're asking for a rezoning. You just have to show the changing conditions of the lot. Your staff report shows that we're meeting the administrative policies. It even talks in Administrative Policy 7 on page 8 of the staff report about the compensatory storage, the code I showed you in that packet. This is a very strict standard. Hassan has said that he will look at trying to take other water in. And he already knows about the canals. He knows what's going on up there. I'm sure he's going to look at the pumps. He's going to look at what Island Forest Preserve did. And if water is now coming to this property from Island Forest Preserve, he's still going to have to take it, into his calculations. So this is all done at the preliminary plat stage. The staff reviews it. And this is just zoning if it's compatible with the area and it makes sense. If we could do 70, we're asking 61, going to limit it to 61, just have smaller lots and preserve a ton of property around the home, so there will be buffers as well. With that, we'd ask that you approve the rezoning from RR1 and AU to SR with the BDP. The BDP will include the limitation of 61 lots.
And the other.
And the other, looking at the whole entire basin. Thank you.
Hold on, Ms. Kim.
Yes, sir.
John, please.
You know the study that the county did on the flooding in the area that was presented to the homeowners association?
Are we
Chris, I don't
talking
know if you
about
were there.
the study of Fay from 2008?
No. The one, they did a new engineering program. It
That's
was
the
2
modeling
years
program.
ago.
Yeah,
That
that
they
was approved
present-
2 years ago.
Right. Okay, how will that affect this property?
That's what resulted in that code section on page 2 of the packet I gave you. So they have to use this 2 terabyte modeling program, put all their data into it, and see if it has no adverse impacts. Pine Grove subdivision to the north had to use that as well. It's the only other one that's done it. It's very difficult. In fact, Pine Grove had to hire the consultant that made the program to make it work right.
Is it a pass-fail?
No, it's basically, it is, pretty much. It's like you have no impacts, none.
Okay, so with your increase in the elevation on this property of 3 to 4 inches, feet,
3 to 4
excuse me.
feet.
You said feet?
Feet, yes. He has to bring in
They
fill.
won't even know that exactly right.
But it's going to
No, I
be
know
in the
they don't know
uplands
that.
to where the houses are going to be developed, and then the engineers do their
So you're going to
magic.
build a hill in North Merritt Island? That would be nice. Except for all the neighbors that are going to get all the runoff.
Well, that's why they have to compensate for that and use that modeling program. They're not allowed to impact others, and they're going to have all the
Yeah.
wetlands.
It's like your neighbor's not allowed to put this fence on your property, but they do it anyway.
Not on mine, they don't.
I know. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kim.
Do we have any other comments from the board?
Mr. Chairman, I have a comment.
Yes, sir. Ron, you've been quiet all day.
This went before the North Merritt Island Board, and they recommended denying it unanimously. I read through all their minutes, and I tend to agree with them, and one of the reasons for that is we're going to use a BDP to establish a consistency between the land use and the zoning. This issue this process has been used several times in the past, and the county commission decided we don't want to do that. We want our zoning and our land use to be consistent, period. They even passed a resolution, our regulation says we can't do that. And then, of course, the state comes in and says, we're going to abolish your home rule, and you just have, so whatever you want to do, you can't do. But so some other counties created a lawsuit against that Senate Bill 180. Our county decided not to do that. We're just going to talk to our representatives and see if we can convince them that it's a bad idea rather than going to court to do it, but whatever. I still would prefer to follow what the county commission did and not use a BDP to establish consistency.
May I respond? That's completely incorrect.
All right.
I know, John, I love
goes against your
BDPs.
grain.
I love BDPs, but this is not the proper use of a BDP.
I'll give you 1 second.
And I just really, and for those two reasons, I'm just not in favor of this, of approving this. I'd recommend a denial.
Okay, Mr. Ron, I'm going to bring Kim back up to,
Fight with him.
I do understand there is some disagreement with the use of BDPs. This is not in the comprehensive plan. This is in section 621255B. It's been in the code for a very long time. It's been used for 25 years since I've done land use. I know staff doesn't like it. It's hard to track. I know people don't like it because it can be changed, but it's just like zoning is changed because conditions change. What Mr. Barcher is referring to in the comprehensive plan, the year that was set up to the state, was so you couldn't do it in reverse. You couldn't do a BDP to make a future land use consistent with the zoning. Here we're making the zoning consistent with future land use. I only know that because of the Dunkin' Donut. That's why they did that. When I came and got a amendment to the zoning, we did a reverse BDP because it was asked by Brian Lober, Commissioner at the time. So we made the future land use consistent with the zoning because they needed a drive-through. So it was reverse. And we've never been allowed to do it again, and that's what's in the comp plan. And I think Trina will back me up on that, that is what the prohibition on BDPs is in the comp plan that was set to the state that has been rejected by the state. Thank you.
Mr. Ron?
That was not my understanding. It's my understanding that the BDP has been used to establish the consistency between the two, between land use and zoning. That was its purpose. I don't understand when you say reverse BDP.
Right.
I'm not clear on what it is you're trying to tell me.
I think Trina would have to express exactly what's in there, but it's so you cannot use a BDP. What we're doing is making the zoning consistent with the future land use. Our future land use is Res 1. With the Dunkin' Donuts project, we use a BDP to make the future land use consistent with the zoning. That's what I meant by a reverse BDP. It's the only time it's
But
ever been done.
how did you do that? Because you can't attach a BDP to a land use request. You can only do it for a zoning request.
I understand, and that's what's now in the comp plan that says you can't do it. But Brian Lober, when he was a commissioner, made us do it. I didn't think it could be done either. No one liked it. We did it. We recorded it in the public records.
He got away with another one.
I didn't want it.
I can try to clarify if you'd like.
Yes, sir. Please, come on up.
Billy, I was trying not to get you in there.
It's all right. So I think I think both sides are frankly right. I think there's just some misunderstanding. Ms. Rezanka is correct. The current code section 62-1255, I think it's B2, allows for this type of BDP to cure the inconsistency between the comprehensive plan and the zoning classification. So this would allow effectively, as you can see here, clustering to exceed the Res 1. That's not that unusual. Even if we were to change it, that could be done, it's usually done through a PUD today. But with that said, that it is allowed today, and we were on a path to potentially change this. There was a comp plan amendment, and then there would have been land development regulations that followed that. And ultimately, it would have been up to the board whether to change this code section, but it was potentially on a path for this section of code to be amended. And SB 180, however, prevents that, not only the code, but it prevented the EAR amendment that this board had previously reviewed from going forward. So as of today, the underpinning to that, the comprehensive plan was never amended because of SB 180. So I will just say that
that's another attorney's opinion.
So, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I understand it hasn't actually been in effect because of that SB 180. My take on it is it's the right thing to do, and to hell with SB 180.
I've got one, if I may, sir.
Okay, Mr. Jarrett.
Okay, so I used to live right around the corner, not as close as Henry lives to this, but used to go shooting down Christopher Road every weekend, used to hang out down there. And I lived there for maybe 5 years. And during that 5 years, we had many family members in the area whose homes flooded, these homes have been there since the 50s and 60s, never flooded until everybody built houses higher than theirs around them, putting them in a bowl, as somebody mentioned. And so the question was also asked if we have any teeth as this board, which we advise the commission, as you all know, but we don't make the final decision. They don't have to listen to anything we say. We are just simply the first gatekeeper before you go in front of them, whether you're for or against. I think that anybody can create studies to show anything they want, and reality is going to show what it shows. And it has shown that this type of development, especially in the low-lying area, which that is reality is that it floods people out. It runs water onto other people. And I'm going to vote against this. For that reason, among others, not to mention the road. People walk their pets up and down that road. There's no sidewalk. Quadrupling the traffic, doubling the traffic, whatever this may do, I don't know what those numbers would do, but it's an old grove road, and nothing's been done to improve it or raise it. And I do know people personally that were trapped in, what did we call it? What is this subdivision? Island Forest Preserve. I know people that were trapped in their homes for 3 or 4 days because the road was 18 inches maybe underwater. I've been back there. I have a cattle lease back there, and it's wet. I can't even drive my four-wheel drive lifted by 6-inch F-350 into that pasture because it's in a bowl. So I would just make a motion to deny it, if it's time for that.
May I add a comment?
Okay, did we already get a second? I did not hear it. I'm sorry, sir, your name, help me out there.
Sorry, I was wondering if I could comment further before we vote.
All right, I'll hold the motion. Go ahead with the comment, sir.
I think we ought to remember that this area has been through 2 small unit studies that both recommended that housing density be decreased in the zoning of the area. And because of that, and because it's 85, 90% in flood zone AE, and it's almost entirely in the high hazard coastal flood zone, it just doesn't seem right to me to increase the density, even with all the nice improvements that they're doing in their design.
All right. We good, sir? Yes, Robert.
This is the problem I'm having, is are we increasing the density? We don't know that. That's something this is very important for what we do. We don't know how many houses you are able to put on and in the current state, because something's going to be done with this land. This is an old orange grove that it looks like citrus greening or something got it, and it's not an orange grove anymore. It's just empty land. Someone owns this. They have the right to do things with it. They're going to do things with it. But no, this is a little tiny road. No infrastructure has been done. Everyone's flooding. I live in an old neighborhood, and no development has gone on around me because we're all built out. But yet, every year that water gets a little higher because it rains more. Theoretically, all these developments have to keep their water on their site. Some engineers do that better than others. But something is going to be done, and I'm just having trouble because I'm missing a very pertinent piece of information. And generally, staff is very good. They'll come out and they'll say, oh, yeah, they were going to be able to put this many, and now they want to do this many. But today they're like, I don't know. They might have been able to do this, and now they want to do that. This is my only problem. I feel for you folks. I've moved into a built-out neighborhood. My neighborhood I moved into is from the 70s, and everything was done around it. But like I said, the water keeps getting a little higher every year. We're having more and more storms every year. So, yeah, I'm having a hard time making a decision here. It's, the infrastructure, your house is being flooded. Yeah, that's infrastructure. You need better drainage in your neighborhood. You need better roads in your neighborhood. That's not us. Mr. Chairman made a point that is not us. We're here to try to look at what's going on and what people are doing with their land, and to try to fit everything together and make a great community. We're not here about drainage. That's someone else's department. They're supposed to do their job, and we're supposed to do ours. I would really like that piece of information, though.
I call the question.
All right, 1 second. Kim, if you want to respond.
I call the question. You can't do that.
Mr. Brothers, I think it's really clear in the staff report and everything you've heard today that the zoning allows 70 units. The wetlands is a different issue. The wetlands is a whole different, is a site plan issue. So
So you're saying that 70, and you want to do 60?
61, yes, sir.
That's a very important piece of information. That if we don't change the zoning, that you can go in there and put 70 houses there.
In theory, yes. The wetlands would come in but those are site plan
Why didn't you say
issues.
that when we asked that
Well,
15 minutes ago?
because that's not really true though, right? Because this is what we asked, and we don't have the equation. So in theory, if there were no wetlands, 70 houses, right?
Wetlands is not a zoning criteria, sir.
I understand
Yeah.
that, but it was asked in a hypothetical manner. If there were no, it does matter when you go to build a house, though. And zoning, giving someone the legal ability to do so, that's where it starts. And then what? You give them the zoning, and then you get past that, and then we get any number of studies or things that can happen, and then it's another hurdle and another hurdle. I think it's important to look at all these potential issues before we just change the zoning.
All right, well, Jared, you made the motion to deny, is that correct?
I did.
And Mr.
Seconded by Eric.
Mr. Eric, you second. So we have a motion by Jared still on the floor to deny, a second by Eric. All those in favor to deny, say yes or no.
Aye.
Aye.
Can we have a show of hands who wants to deny?
My hand's getting tired.
Oh my, can I put it down yet?
Yeah.
Do you have it?
Out of how many, 15?
Can we do a roll call vote, Mr. Chair? Maybe that'd make it easier to count them out.
Okay. Mr. John?
Aye.
Ruth?
This is for denial, right?
Denial.
Aye.
Jared?
Aye.
Ron?
Denial.
Mr. Robert?
Nay.
Erica? Debbie?
Aye.
We haven't voted on this side. No one said on this side.
No.
No. All right. Here's what really happens. Now you got nothing. Everything that's in the binding development plan, you just put in the trash. So everybody here accomplished something by not giving them nothing, and now they get to do 74. Just doesn't make real good sense, but,
That's up to the county commission.
oh, yeah, yeah.
Thank
It
you.
will be.
Okay, Ms. Kim, thank you.
Make sure they know you abstained.
Mr. Chair. Yeah, that's right. I would, no big deal.
Just want to make sure that the record shows that she did abstain from the vote.
Yeah, she got it. We're going to take a quick 2-minute recess here.
Yeah, he did.
If everybody would please take a seat. No, they're listening. Okay, we're going to continue on now with item H4. We're waiting on Ms. Trina. Hold on.
Item H4, Princeton Technologies LLC requests a zoning classification change from BU1 General Retail Commercial with a CUP Conditional Use Permit to BU-1 General Retail Commercial with a CUP Conditional Use Permit for Alcoholic Beverages for on-premise consumption, accessory to a restaurant. Application is 25Z00044, located in District 1.
Okay, is the applicant here? Seeing that, I bring it back. I guess we don't have an applicant.
I have one comment for what it's worth, if I may, on this one. That restaurant has opened and closed a number of years. Probably been four or five different restaurants. It's never been successful. They've never lasted more than a year or two. It's got very strange parking situation where you kind of just pull off of US 1 anywhere on the property and pull back on. There's one defined entrance to the lot, but there's only a few parking spaces, so people kind of just park all along the road. So anytime it was a newer restaurant, quite a bit of people just willy-nilly pulling on and off the road, just maybe a concern after they've been drinking. Just a thought.
Move to continue, Mr. Chair.
Got a motion by John to move to continue item H4, a second by Debbie. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item H4 will be moved to continue.
It's going to be continued to February 16th, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Okay, item H5.
Item H5, C. Stevens Douglas requests zoning classification change from TR-2 with a BDP to AGR with removal of existing BDP. Application is 25Z00047, located in District 3.
Okay, sir, if you'd state your name and spell your last name for the record.
Yeah, C. Stephen Douglas, Douglas. Yeah, we're looking to, like you said, to change the TR2, which has a binding development plan, to an AGR, mainly because I have a 110-acre cow grazing to the south of it that joins it, and I need a building to put my equipment in. And I also own this land here. It's easier access on this property. So that's basically what we're looking at. Drop that BDT, gonna drop that BDP.
All right. We got any questions, board, for the applicant? Seeing that, sir, is there anyone in the audience want to speak for or against this item? All right, I'm going to close this item for public comment. I'll bring it back to the board. Any questions for Mr. Douglas?
I move for approval.
Second. Debbie made the motion.
Who seconded it? I got a motion by Debbie, a second by Robert on item H5 for approval. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passed unanimously.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Have a good day. Item H6.
Item H6, Clinton Smith and Kimberly Smith request zoning classification change from RU-1-7 to SR. Application is 25Z00048, located in District 3.
Okay, ma'am, and if you could state your name and spell your last name for the record.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kimberly Smith, S-M-I-T-H. So we're here requesting rezoning classification. Right now, it's an existing FLU Residential 2 with existing zoning RU-1-7. And we have a current permit that we're trying to get through the process, and those two are conflicting, apparently. So we are asking to rezone for SR. Like I said, we do have a current permit that's in process for just a single-family home on the property.
All right, ma'am, while you're right there, is there anyone in the audience want to speak for or against this item? Then I'll be closing item H6 for public comment. Seeing that, I'm going to bring it back to the board. Do we have any comments for the applicant?
I have a question.
Ms. Ruth?
Is there still an active code case on the property?
We can't clear it until we have the permit.
How does that work with the rezoning with the code case?
So usually code cases are held in abeyance until the zoning request has gone through the process.
So the zoning is to fix?
I'm not sure about the nature of the violation. Do you know what the nature of the case was?
I believe it was, let's see here. Unpermitted land clearing and land alteration activities on the property under the jurisdiction of Brevard County Natural Resources Department, according to the agenda.
Can I say something?
Go ahead.
So what the gentleman that owns the two lots in front of us, we have a shared right-of-way, and he cleared his property, and he put it in our right-of-way. And the neighbors, they called in a complaint about his, because it's like about 2 acres, and he cleared a whole acre and put it on the right-of-way for our property. So since then, he didn't have the money to get rid of the waste either, so we had to pay to get it removed. So we've been working with them, with that department to get everything taken care of. There's a lot of dirt on the property too that our other neighbor, because the land's been vacant the whole, since it was, I guess, made and created.
Since time.
Yeah, and the other neighbor had been he had piles of dirt over there that are now, like ours, that we're gonna have to get rid of. So we're having to take care of all of these things to not have the complaint and to get it cleared.
So the zoning is clearly not the fix. You
Yes,
just have
ma'am.
to fix it.
And they said the only way is either, not build on it and, put more trees, I guess, or get the building permit. And we have to have the zoning to get the building permit. This is the last piece of that puzzle.
Mr. Chairman, if I could ask a question, how large is the property that you're looking to build on?
It's 2.2 acres.
Okay, and you're building a single-family home on
Yes,
that
sir.
property?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion by John, a second by Neil on item H6 to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passed unanimously. All right, good luck at the county commissioners meeting. Item H7.
Item H7, Lazy River Investment LLC requests a zoning classification change from RU-1-13 to AU Light. And this is application number 25Z00049, and it's located in District 3.
All right, sir, if you would state your name, spell your last name for the record, please.
David Bistarkey, B-I-S-T-A-R-K-E-Y. I'm partner in the Lazy River LLC.
And a little bit about what you're wanting to do here.
Well, I want to change the zoning for the RU-1-13 to AU Light, which is compatible with the Flung.
All right, while you're right there, sir, is there anyone in the audience want to speak for or against this item? Sir, if you could just sit right there in the front row. Ma'am, if you could come up, state your name, spell your last name for the record.
My name is Linda Brannan, Brannan. I live at 9675 Fleming Grant Road. I'm right across the street from Mr. Bastarkey's application, and I came to say that I'm in favor of it. I live on 2.5 acres now, and he's wanting to rezone this to 2.5, 1 unit per 2.5. And I also own 2 half-acre vacant buildable lots that back up to his property on Mockingbird Lane, which would be impacted by whatever he does. I have no problem with it. 2.5 acres will keep the density down in our area. Most of my neighbors are on 1/4 acre, half-acre, or 1 acre. There are a few on larger pieces, but most of them are on smaller. So I would like to see this property be developed in the least impact. It's a wooded, beautiful area of land, and like I say, I live right across the street from it. I've been there 36 years, so I'm in favor of the zoning being as high as it can go to where there's less houses. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Anyone else want to speak for or against this item?
Good evening, I'm Lorraine DeMontney, and I will have to spell that last name, Demontigny. And I'm here to speak in favor of Mr. Bastarkey's request. I also would like to see the zoning be less dense, so I think we're going to accomplish that with this change. I've lived there for 24 years. I have a little bit more acreage, well, than Linda did, but not more than he does. So I love the rural nature of the neighborhood, and I feel like these 2.5 acre home sites would be a definite plus for the neighborhood and keeping with the consistency of the area. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Anyone else want to speak for or against this item? Sir, if you could state your name, spell your last name for the record.
Yep, my name is David Conner, Conner. And I have a piece of property that I just purchased in June of '24 that's right next to his 20 acres. And I totally agree with what he's going to do. We've sat down and talked to him, and I agree with the density and the 2.5 acre thing that he's proposing, and I think it will really enhance the neighborhood. So,
all right. Thank you, sir. Anybody else want to speak for or against this item? Okay, I'm going to close item H7 for public comment. Sir, if you could come back up to the mic. Do we have any questions from the staff board up here for the applicant?
Only to say that it's the first time I've sat here and we've had people for a development.
I have some good neighbors.
Yeah, you do. You're lucky.
We've still got a lot of items. Please don't jinx us, John.
I tried to close out the other one.
I need a motion.
I'd move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion by John, a second by Ruth. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passed unanimously.
I think I got Henry beat. I've been here 69.5 years. I don't know how long.
He was probably building that road back then. Okay, item H8.
Yes, item H8, 100 Flug Avenue LLC, with Bruce Moia being the applicant for the application. Request for a zoning classification change from BU-1 to RU-2-15. It's located at, application is 25Z100050, located in District 5.
She's checking my authorization.
Okay.
Well, in the meantime, I'll go ahead and speak since I was labeled as the applicant. Probably not as elegant as Kim is going to be, so I'll try to move this along. I do have some handouts.
Mr. Bruce, even though we know you, we're going to have to get your name and all for the record.
Yes, so Bruce Moia, MBB Engineering, representing the applicant. My office is at 1250 West O'Galley Boulevard in Melbourne, Florida. This is a kind of interesting, this is the area I grew up in, and this is a piece of property that's right on A1A that's never been developed. It's kind of odd for that stretch of that stretch of A1A because it's very, very busy. I believe it's owned existing commercial, and the rest of the surrounding area is owned multifamily. So the plan is to go ahead and rezone it to a multifamily zoning and put a triplex on it, luxury triplex. Pardon me? 3, triplex.
Okay, I'm allowed to speak.
Okay.
My name is Kim Rezanka. I'm here on behalf of 100 Flug. Also with us is a representative, Jamie DeRosa, if you have any questions of him. This is a .29 acre piece of property. As Mr. Moya said, it's not been developed. The idea is to put one triplex on there. What I've provided to you is a larger aerial map showing that there's lots of multifamily duplexes, townhomes in this area. And also, if you look at page 3 of the staff report, there is RU 215 to the south, RU 215 to the east, and RU 215 to the west, and that is what we're seeking. It is compatible with community commercial by the flu table at 62.12-1255. So that's it, but I did want to give you that overall picture because they don't give you a very large picture in your staff report. I know many of you do go ahead and look. That is going to be a triplex as shown in the double-sided page provided. And it is, we believe, consistent with what's in the area. And so we're asking for zoning from BU1 to RU 215 because multifamily is not allowed in BU1, only single family.
Ms. Kim, while you're right there, is there anyone in the audience want to speak for or against this item? Ma'am, if you could come forward and state your name and spell your last name for the record.
Anne Lamothe, Lamothe. I am one of the owners of the duplexes that run along the Flug Avenue. And I have a concern about the location of this proposed triplex. Just for the record, did I hear correctly that this is an area that is 0.29?
Yeah.
Did I hear correctly? Okay. That's a tiny piece of land to put 3 homes on, whether they're condos or multi-level housing. My concern is not just density, but it's based on some issues that we on Flug have had as homeowners in the past and how this might impact Flug Avenue. The biggest thing is the building specifics as far as allowing for enough parking, how large these units are going to be, how many stories these are going to be, because that's a lot to put on that tiny area. The duplexes that are currently on Flug are on bigger lots, but they are small units. They are 800 square feet, 2 bedroom, 1 bath. They have garages. They have driveways that could accommodate a second car. It's my understanding that the address of these triplexes would be not A1A, but it would be Flug Avenue. And that brings to mind a few concerns in terms of infrastructure that would support 3 more units on that street. The biggest one would be sewer concerns. I happen to be an owner that had problems in 2021 regarding how these units are added to Melbourne sewer system. The 2 units that I have connect with the units that are next to me before going under a set of driveways and finally hooking up with the main Melbourne sewer system. Okay, that's one issue. Currently, there's no curbs on Flug and no rainwater sewers to empty rainwater into, and it doesn't take much, flood-wise, hurricane-wise, just a good storm, that Flug is underwater with just regular rainwater. The plus factor of Flug Avenue is that it is the entranceway to a way that people can make it through to Riverside Drive, and at the end of Flug is basically 3 schools. There's a lot of traffic on there. You got school buses. The plus factor for new homes going in that area is that because it's on a main circuit way to those schools, we have electricity returned immediately after storms because of the kids. And so it's great if you're in a hurricane and you know that your set of buildings on Flug are going to have their power returned quickly. It would just be nice to have taken these other considerations. I don't know the structure of these buildings, and I think it would be a negative impact considering the size and the plot of that land and how it might impact the area. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Is anyone else like to speak for or against this item? Okay, I'm going to close item H8 for public comment. Mr. Bruce, Kim, or whoever, if you want to come back to the mic.
Yes, I think kind of similar to the last item you heard, this is a down zoning. Putting 3 units on this where this potentially could be a commercial endeavor facility on a corner of a busy street. I think you would see more traffic. You would see potentially existing, you could have a 35-foot existing commercial building put on there. So, changing it to RU 215 would, I think, would generate less traffic. All our parking would be required to be on our property because it's multifamily. We would, as far as the sewer, it is county sewer on the beach side, not city sewer. A lot less sewer generated by 3 units than a large commercial facility. So I think in all aspects, you're going to see this would be a downzoning of the property and a lot less intense use. So any other questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
I have a question. She brought up the height, and I took a drive-by, and I was really thrilled to see it right next to Dunkin' Donuts, and it's all commercial. So I think it'd be nice to see, a triplex or, something right in that area. It's a nice lot. But so is there going to be a height, you going to build them up high, or how, what are you looking at?
Yeah, I think in order to get the size, because it is a smaller lot, that we would have to go, 2-3 stories, which would be allowed. I think you see that going up and down A1A as it's being developed now.
On the east side.
Very similar to the Mr. DeRosa's doing some development in Cocoa Beach. Would be very similar to that.
Okay,
Yeah.
Mr. John.
Hey, John. Yes, sir.
We'll have a garage?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what's the circular stair doing? Is that inside the building or outside?
It looks like it's
Yeah, outside.
part of the building inside. It looks like it's inside.
I don't know, it looks like it's outside to me. It looks like the low wall is shielding it.
Outside.
It is outside.
Yeah, outside.
So in order for the resident to get to the 3rd floor, they have to go outside? Or is there an internal, I'm just questioning the architecture, sorry.
I know.
I know it's not zoning, but.
Mr. Bruce, would you want him, to come
Yeah,
up?
I'll let Mr. DeRosa come up, talk about architectural. Usually architectural features don't come up in zoning questions, so.
I know, but
I'll
I'd
let
like
him
to
go
bring
ahead
them
and
up. 'Cause I don't get to
answer
talk
that.
to architects that much.
Hello.
Sir, if you could state your name and spell your last name?
Yes, sir. Jamie DeRosa, DeRosa. My wife and I do the design. We bought the property. We love that area. We're from Merritt Island, Cocoa Beach area. We do develop some residential. We only do residential. They're small units. They're 2,000 square feet. Really, the spiral staircase outside is to get from the third floor to the rooftop. The rooftop's going to have an observation deck, and that's so the third floor would have access, exit the balcony, and go to the rooftop like an observation deck. Watch the SpaceX launch, watch the sunset. Across the street is a natural preserve. It's a park. There's no building there. The county owns it. It's governed by the state. So you would have clear views, second and third floors of the ocean. They are facing east and west, so the potential there for a family of 2,000 square feet, single-car garage, does have radius to turn back and have a second vehicle as well. But that's the answer to the spiral staircase.
I'm seeing a spiral staircase on 2 levels, not just one. That's why I was asking the question.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you're putting a flat roof on this thing?
Yes.
Okay. And it does have sewer, right? This is sewer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, but this will be the high point on that street? It's flowing west?
I mean, we couldn't build it on septic, so it has to go in sewer.
I understand that. I'm just, because of the last speaker, she stated that they were having sewer issues. And
Talking about drainage?
No, not that. I'm not talking about drainage. I'm talking about sewer. Hang on. It says this will be the high point of that sewer system because it runs westwardly, right?
I can't verify that.
Oh, okay.
It would make sense.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know for a fact. No, I know, but from what she said, I was a little concerned about that. There was I had another point. So single-car garage?
Yes.
I just want to say something
Yeah.
on
I'm
those,
asking.
just so you know, even if we're at the high point of the sewer line in the roadway is an 8-inch main. It should have plenty of capacity.
In that road or in A1A?
In any road. All mains are 8 inches.
No, I
so-
know that, but-
So in order to tie in, I think we would have plenty of capacity if the capacity is the issue. I don't think elevation would be an issue because every manhole has to be at least 4 feet deep so we could tie in, because it would have to end with a manhole if it ran west.
Right.
So even if we're at the highest point, we'd still be 4 feet in the ground. So which would give us plenty of elevation to get the sewer connection made without a
Okay.
problem.
Yeah, I was just looking at that because I was wondering if you had any livable space on the first floor.
Yes.
There is livable,
Yes,
okay.
there's a bedroom on the first floor.
That would affect that. Okay, all right. Thank you.
Any other questions from the board?
Move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion by Debbie, a second by Neil.
Or Eric, I don't care.
On item H8 for approval, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? That passed unanimously. Item H9.
Yes, item H9, Eric D. and Pamela S. Martin Truss, under Landon Scheer, requests a zoning classification change from BU1 to BU1 and BU2. Application is 25Z00051, located in District 2.
Sir, if you'd state your name and spell your last name for the record.
Yeah, Landon Scheer, SCHEER, 1361 Highway A1A with Scheer Engineering. So this project went to the Merritt Island Board and it was approved unanimously. There's 2 components to this project. Main use of the building is a personal hobby shop by the owner. It's his retirement project. It's gonna be essentially his man cave. And then the second portion of this project is the portion of the project we are asking to rezone to BU-2. He wants to provide RV and boat parking spaces on the eastern half of the project. We're matching the zoning line of the property just to the north of us. The western half is zoned BU1 and the eastern half is also BU2. So we are just matching the zoning to the property to the north of us, consistent with the area. There is RV and boat parking in the corridor, so we're not asking for anything that hasn't been done in the area. We will be required to provide type A buffer on the east and the south side, as well as a type B buffer along Courtney Parkway. The owner's going to do dimmable lighting, motion sensor dimmable lighting. So the idea is the majority of the time lights are low to keep the lighting in the area adjacent to the properties to the east and south of us down. Should someone be on the property that's not supposed to be there after hours, the lights flip on so the camera can catch them, but then they return back to the dimmable lighting. Gated and fenced from the right of way. There's no, it's the main structure isn't going to be utilized by the general public. There's no retail or sales or any use out of the main structure. Extremely low traffic generator, so not really concerned for traffic to bring additional trips into the area. But the owner is hoping to rezone the eastern half to BU2 for the 8 RV and boat parking spaces to ultimately offset development costs for his structure.
All right, while you're there, sir, is there anyone in the audience want to speak for or against this item? All right, I'm going to close it to public comment and bring it back to the board. We got any questions for the applicant?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. A couple questions on the RV and boat parking. Number of parking spaces for RVs and boats? Do you know how many spaces he's going to have?
There's going to be 8 RV and 8 boat.
And any electric, any utilities going to be provided, or just dry storage?
Just dry storage.
And covered or not covered?
Not covered.
Thank you.
You're just matching the parcel to the north?
Correct.
And you abut it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We share a property line.
Mr. Chairman, I
Yes.
move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion by Ron, a second by Erica on item H9 for approval. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? That passed unanimously.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Item H10.
Yes, item H10, Blair Foster, Foster Family Living Trust requests zoning classification change from GU to SR. Application is 25Z00053, located in District 5.
Sir, if you would state your name and spell your last name for the record.
Blair Foster, Foster.
And a little bit about what you're wanting to do.
I'm trying to change the,
If you could get next to
I'm
it.
trying to change the zoning. Right now, it's zone GU, which I'm trying to go to SR. So from what I understand, the GU is for 5 acres. I only have 1 acre. And everything I've tried to do with this property has come back to that issue. So I'm trying to get it changed so I can at least be the same as everybody else around me and be consistent with the properties around me.
All right, well, sir, while you're right there, is there anyone in the audience want to speak for or against this item? Seeing that, I bring it back to the board. We have any questions for the applicant?
I just have one.
Mr. John?
How are you going to get access to this site?
I have easements in my area.
Where?
On both sides, on both sides of my, on my property there.
On the east and the west side?
Yes.
Because I don't see that on the, I don't see anything on there.
Yeah, they're on there. They're all older easements that are there for many, many years that have access to all the other properties around there. Plus, they built a new community next to mine.
Mhm.
And
On the east side,
yes,
you're
sir.
talking about, right?
Yes, sir. That big development there.
Right.
Greenleaf built that, and there was a designated easement on there that they've given to the people that are already behind me that go right next to my place.
Okay, because there's no traffic on that easement, that development has shown between that and the pond.
Yeah, I understand it, but.
What are you looking at?
The easement to the south
Oh, to
that
the
he's
south.
referring to was actually vacated by Bruce Moia when he did the development here.
Okay.
So that southern portion of the easement was vacated, but it doesn't affect his property.
It doesn't affect his property, right? Because
Correct.
it's south of his property.
Correct.
And
That
there's
was
no connection there.
vacated
So
previously.
again, that raises the question, where is the easement
So
for
the
him to
ea-
get access? Because there's no point in you
putting a house on there if you can't get to it.
He does, there
There's
is an easement that runs along that, between the pond and his property. There's an easement that runs down that way.
You're talking about that dirt area there that's showing up on my aerial?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
all-
in
it's all
between
done
his
in
property and the
grass
stormwater pond for Greenleaf, there's an easement there.
Okay.
It was put in place back in, I think, 1985. Whether or not it satisfies 62-102 will have to be determined once he submits the building
You
permit.
understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Because your neighbor to your north put his own driveway on his own property, because he evidently didn't take advantage of that easement.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I understand. Thank you.
Okay, don't want you to get stuck.
I understand.
Okay, thank you.
Would that address be on Carriage Gate?
They
that
haven't
easement?
figured that out yet. I can't get any answers until I fix this.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval.
A second.
Got a motion by Neil, a second by, is it Jared?
Yes, sir.
To approve item H10. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passed unanimously.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Item H11.
Yes, item H11, Merritt Bidco SPV LLC, represented by Kim Rezanka, requests a zoning classification change from AU with a BSP to RU-2-15 and RU-2-30 with removal of BSP. Applications 25Z00054, located in District 2.
I saw that, yeah, Mr. Wadsworth.
I know. I was trying to hide it.
Good evening, Kim Rezanka with Lacey Rezanka, Melbourne, Florida, here on behalf of the developer Rangewater Development. Here with me is Michael Oliver from Rangewater, the engineer of record, Kyle Chastain, and the traffic engineer, Daniela Gerardo, and Tom Lee is also here with Rangewater. This is a rezoning. It looks a lot like a future land use change, but it's not. This is 11.24 acres that is on Pioneer and Courtney. The request is for RU 215 on the portion that's Res 15 already, future land use. That's 7.5 acres to RU 215 from AU. And then on the front portion on Courtney, it's 3.66 acres, currently neighborhood commercial. They were seeking to go to RU 230, which is allowed by the comprehensive plan, Flu Policy 2.10. The goal is to put 222 units. It's approximately 19.75 units to the acre. As you know, there have been very few new apartments in Merritt Island. Woodfield is going in behind the mall, but that's been the first apartment complex in the last 35 years from what I understand. This is also seeking a removal of a binding site plan that was done many, many years ago to allow the current medical complex there. The entire property is subject to a BSP for a hospital and medical use. So in theory, a hospital could be built there. I think that was the intent, is to expand the medical facility. It was never done. So this property is laying vacant, went into bankruptcy. This was the old Stewart property. I went out of bankruptcy. The owner is Merritt Bidco, which we're under contract with to purchase. So that CUP will go away if this property is rezoned. We did have a community meeting on November 24th. Over 200 invitations went out. Approximately 20 neighbors showed up, and all the MIRA representatives showed up as well. This also did go to MIRA that recommended denial, as you're aware, because of traffic concerns. I would support or assert that traffic concerns are not the issue at this point. Florida statutes do not let you deny projects because of capacity. It just requires a proportionate fair share agreement. We've run those numbers. The developer is willing to donate a proportionate fair share. That is an option, and he's willing to do that. At the community meeting, there was a site plan shown, a concept plan, again, not fully engineered, and the neighbors had concerns about height, parking, traffic, flooding, buffering, windows, balconies, location of buildings, and the removal of trees. You've seen that in what appear to be AI-generated responses sent to you via emails. We run it through an AI generator, and most of it is done through AI. Spot zoning is a very unique term, and somehow it came up in AI-generated documents. So based upon what the community says, the developer is willing to put into a binding development plan that they will have buffers to the east, setback for building of 100 feet. Willing to have setbacks from the north to the building of 50 feet and keep that in native preserve. As to traffic, they are willing to work and extend the turn lane on Pioneer that goes to the north, and will do whatever is necessary to do a proportionate fair share. That traffic concurrency issue is kind of unique. I've not run into it before, where it's at, if it's over 85% capacity, you're only allowed to have a certain percentage designated, and that's something new. To me, it's contrary to Florida law, but we have a disagreement on that. But again, Florida law says you can't deny it because of capacity, so you have to go into a proportionate fair share. I do want to say that the impact fees generated from this will be over $500,000, which the county could indeed use to try to improve Pioneer Road. Part of that problem is it's not our right-of-way. We can do the right-of-way on the property under contract to extend that turn lane, but there's nothing else we can do. There's Florida Power and Light poles to the south, and that would be something that the county would have to work with FP&L if that were intended to be done. So that's just an overview of the project. We have Mr. Oliver would like to speak a little bit about the company, and Kyle Chastain, the engineer of record, will talk about the changes that were made to the concept plan based upon what the neighbors said, and then Daniel Gerardo will talk about her traffic study that she did to do the actual counts. The counts currently are used by Space Coast TPO. Her counts came out similar to it, but I'll let her explain it and about the improvements that would be made. And with that, I'll ask Mr. Oliver to come up, and I'll pass out the concept plan while he's speaking.
Thank you, Kim, and good evening. My name is Michael Oliver. Last name is Oliver. I am the Managing Director of Development for Rangewater for the state of Florida. We develop in Tampa, Jacksonville, Orlando, and here in Brevard County. With me here is Tom Lee, Development Manager for this project, this proposed project. Rangewater is a national multifamily developer active here in Florida, but also across the Sun Belt. In Florida, we've developed 6,000 homes and managed 20,000 units. And then nationally, we have developed 25,000 homes and manage 100,000 units. Over the past decade, we have been recognized by the National Association of Home Builders as the Developer of the Year. We share this not as a point of pride, but to demonstrate the depth of experience, the long-term commitment that we bring to the communities that we build in. Our development philosophy is centered on community-focused placemaking, long-term neighborhood compatibility, high-quality design, and responsiveness to local contexts. As Kim mentioned, we met with the neighborhood and the neighbors, many of which are here today, and we listened to their concerns at a community meeting in November. We heard about building heights, proximity of parking to property lines, building setbacks, and traffic. And we have done everything in our reason, or what we feel is reasonable, to alter the conceptual plan that is shown in front of you and on this board right here to accommodate and to be the best neighbor that we can possibly be. And Kyle will speak a little bit to this, but I think primarily of note, we have committed to are committed to providing a 100-foot building setback on the east property line to 3-story residential buildings, which is, as I think most people here are aware, a much higher or much larger building setback that is required by most zoning designations. Additionally, we committed to early on doing 3-story product, 3-story apartment buildings here in lieu of 4-story, just based on the proximity of the homes to residential neighbors, and the site plan or conceptual plan accommodates that. Additionally, we met with neighbors on the north property line, specifically Mr. Clamp And we heard about some pine trees on our property that, are mature, and they feel suit the needs and aspect of the neighborhood. And we have committed to Mr. Clamp and those neighbors to preserve that tree canopy adjacent to their homes within 50 feet to allow for that buffer, adequate buffer between those homes and the parking lot and single-story clubhouse that we have on the other side of that. I say all this to say that, we have 13 immediate residential neighbors, and our goal with the latest iteration of the conceptual plan is to maintain privacy, separation, and enhanced buffering through that landscaping, through stormwater features, and long-term maintenance. These refinements were made intentionally and directly in response to the neighbors and their concerns. With that, I'll turn it over to Kyle to speak a little bit more about the conceptual plan and to address stormwater concerns.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Kyle Shasteen. That's S-H-A-S-T-E-E-N. I'm with Bowman Engineering. I will be the engineer of record for this project and responsible for making sure that this site plan meets the county's applicable land development codes, as well as any stormwater requirements set forth by the state and other agencies once this moves forward to the site planning stage. As Mike said, we have met with the residents nearby 2 times now, first at a neighborhood meeting and second at the Myra board meeting. We've heard a lot of input, I'll call it, from the neighbors, and this site plan has really came a long way to accommodate some of those requests, being the 100-foot building setback, the setback to the north. Bowman's actually gone out there. We've conducted a tree survey. I believe it was 20 feet from the north and the east property lines to see what kind of native vegetation is currently there so that we could provide a natural buffer to kind of keep what the residents are used to seeing. Part of that buffer along the east is going to be our stormwater retention ponds. We've done some preliminary calculations. We found a model that was done by the county looking at Pioneer Road. There's a ditch along the north side there that kind of drains a larger basin, which eventually ends out in Sykes Creek. So once we do the engineering for this site, we're going to be looking at that basin, making sure there's no adverse impacts to the surrounding area. There's also some wetlands on site that we're preserving. You can kind of see it there on the east side. It's the green cluster. So that has been delineated by an environmental scientist locally here in town and confirmed by St. John's. So that area has been delineated. So we are going to preserve what's required by the county. So really, I'm here to answer any questions. Anything comes up regarding stormwater site layout. And I will say just about range water, they have been, willing to change their plan to meet some input from the community. It's something that I haven't always seen in the line of work that I do. And I really do. I'm very impressed with, where this site plan has come, given the process that we've been through. Thank you.
Good evening. This is Daniela Jurado. I'm the traffic engineer with the project. Jurado is Jurado. So Range Water Residential has 222 low-rise residential units. It would be 3 floors. And per ITE, this is considered low-rise residential. The anticipated daily trip generation of the site is 1,379 daily trips. This would be inbound and outbound trips. The anticipated peak hour trip generation of the site would be 91 morning peak hour trips and 115 PM peak hour trips. That would be for the PM, for example, would be 72 inbound trips and 43 outbound trips. So we have received several complaints or comments regarding the possibility or the impacts of the traffic in the roads. And so we reviewed the daily capacity of the roads, and based on current volumes, the road North Courtney operates at 0.88 volume to capacity ratio, And under build conditions, North Courtney will be operating at 0.93 volume to capacity ratio. So the calculated impact of the project would be on the remaining capacity would be 24.95%. We also, we've done a scope with the county and FDOT. I'm sorry, I apologize. I have stage fright.
Why, you're doing great.
I'm sorry. Okay, so we have agreed to a scope and methodology for the traffic impact analysis. This scope, it contains all the intersections that we're going to be analyzing in the traffic impact study. We have already collected the data, and we're currently analyzing all the intersections. We hope to have results by the end of the month. There have been like some changes in the access conditions currently, but we're still working on analyzing the driveways. So for the intersections that we're analyzing the intersection of Pioneer and North Courtney. We're analyzing the 2 ramps, and we're analyzing all the driveways. We have also collected 2 counts at Pioneer, and we also collected videos for the queues along Pioneer Road to make sure that the queues were now backing up to the driveway. And the current volume to capacity ratio of Pioneer Road is 0.32. That is one of the biggest concerns of the community. We've also reviewed the peak hour volumes of Pioneer, especially during the school of dismissal. And what the peak hour capacity of that road would be 1,333 peak hour trips. And the existing school dismissal volumes are 448 peak hour trips from 2 to 3 p.m. and from 3 to 4 p.m. We collected data and make sure that we had the volumes in that road. We also reviewed the videos, and we also had site visits to make sure that the queues were not backing up into the side driveway, and we are analyzing that data. And for the traffic impact study, we will be addressing any queuing issues along Pioneer Road, both onto North Courtney and onto the side driveway. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Yes, sir,
Come
please.
right back up. I just want to say in closing, and as it relates to traffic, North Courtney Parkway, State Road 3, we believe it's Merritt Island's primary north-south connector, an arterial, and a critical transportation and employment corridor. We are aware, based on our conversations with Myra, FDOT, everyone else, that it is, the focus of many redevelopment planning efforts and corridor studies and infrastructure investments being advanced along. This corridor directly serves the region's largest employment centers, as I think everyone here understands, including the Kennedy Space Center, the growing commercial space industry in Port Canaveral, all of which continue to drive job creation across aerospace, defense, logistics, maritime, tourism, and advanced manufacturing. That's exactly why we believe that this is a suitable location for a multi-family property. These industries collectively support tens of thousands of direct and indirect jobs and are projected to continue expanding over the coming years. From a land use and planning perspective, as Kim mentioned, this site is appropriately located for a higher density residential development along a major arterial within the urban service area and in close proximity to major job centers. The project represents, from our perspective, responsible infill development that aligns with the county's long-term growth strategy and the future land use plan. As mentioned, we have met with the neighbors, we have heard the neighbors' concerns, and we have done our best to reasonably accommodate those comments in the latest iteration of the conceptual plan. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Ms. Kim.
I'm not sure the neighbors have seen this plan. I was trying to make this work, but I don't know how it works, because I do not believe they've seen the extra buffers. Well, yeah, but Oh, great. So, and just to reiterate, it's upside down. Okay. This is North Courtney. This is Pioneer. Pioneer, they will extend the turn lane that goes onto Courtney heading north. This is a 100-foot buffer to the east to the building line, where currently the existing BSP only requires a 50-foot buffer, and then an additional 50-foot buffer, which is in the old BSP, and a natural landscape to the north. Am I moving it too funny? I apologize. So again, that's willing to commit to that in a BSP, to have the 50-foot buffer to the building line, 100-foot buffer to the building line, and extending the Pioneer Road. And we'll do whatever else the county tells us to do that's within our ability to do, including the proportionate fair share. I did also want to bring up the issue that this is infill, as Michael stated. This is an infill development. This is a site that's underutilized. This binding site plan has been on it since 1983 and has not been developed, meaning it wasn't going to be developed. It wasn't primed to be developed, wasn't right to be developed. This is an opportunity to have a different type of residential use in Merritt Island. The housing element, Objective 4, says that Brevard County shall continue to provide for adequate lands for residential land uses in a wide variety of housing types. Again, there's not been any new apartments in Merritt Island for a good 30 to 35 years, except for Woodfield that's being built behind the mall. There was also issues about the drawbridge and the impact on traffic there. As I mentioned previously, that drawbridge is not allowed to be opened between 6:15 a.m. and 8:15 a.m., or between 3:10 p.m. and 6:10 p.m. And also, I did want to indicate that there are multiple types of uses. There's condominiums to the north and west of this property. There are single family, there's a mobile home park to the west, and there is down by the school, Merritt Island High, there is some apartments also, JB Somerset. So with that, we would ask that you recommend approval of the RU 215 and the RU 230 on the portion next to Courtney.
Okay, Mr. Henry?
Kim, you either get the design engineer or the traffic engineer. Under most projects, we're not supposed to help you design anything. But this is such a significant traffic issue that is, I would have, if I was the one that was submitting, I would say I would need to show you the geometrics of Pioneer. My calculations showed you almost have 3,000 trips every day, over and exceeding what's already there. And I don't know if you're a traffic engineer.
I would have to defer to Danielle
I
on
mean,
the
I
trip
just,
generation. Sure. Yeah.
went right out of the manual, and unless we've significantly reduced the number of units, you're going to look 10 to the box. So, I mean, I know about what it's at.
Yeah.
So I'm using 3,000 because it's a lot easier for the world to understand. 3,000 more cars, it's potentially going to be at this intersection.
Yes, based on the ITE, and that's based on national data.
Yeah.
That has more than 250 different data points and throughout the nation. The anticipated trip generation of the site is 1,379 trips, and that is including inbound and outbound.
That's in and out.
That's in and out.
So I'm close.
No, that's inbound and outbound.
Okay.
It would be 690 trips inbound and 689 trips outbound.
In this case, I'm not debating this, but
Yes, sir.
in this case, the staff and I agreed.
Okay.
The staff that's going to review it, so we're pretty close. Saying that, there's no geometric shown for what I think is going to be the primary access to the north. If nothing else, it's going to be an exclusive in an outbound direction. It's going to go west and north. So you're going to have significant movements there because the backup on Pioneer now is atrocious. And it's sort of neat to watch. If you can get the timing just perfect, you may be able to get all the way to Sykes Creek. And that's just not a bunch of bull. But you get the mamas out there bringing their kids home. You got Starbucks now that's open all the time. You got the car wash in there. You got the old people's place in there. The list goes on that can clutter up at one time. I'm caught in there. I'm not smart enough, but I just don't go there. It's a lot easier for me there not to deal with it. But I wish we could have seen the geometrics. I'm debating on what somebody said about the amount of right-of-way that's on Pioneer. I'm going from memory, and it's not as good as it used to be. But I thought it was greater than 50 feet. So that means a tremendous amount. Every foot there is going to be extremely important, especially when you're going to go to a minimum 10-foot lanes. So you really we just really have a tremendous problem, and traffic-wise. I don't need to expound upon it. Staff, I'm going to ask a question. What's the closest 230, RU 230 to this site?
There's RU 230 to the south, south of Butler Avenue.
All the way down there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You see, that's another issue that doesn't really have much to do. This thing was designed, that intersection is we call it commercially designed because all 4 quadrants are commercialized with no intent of single-family residence going beyond there. And now we've overloaded it with some additions. Kim, how many units do we have in here?
222.
How much?
222.
Yeah, that's what's right up. That's my questions for now. We don't require that.
Yeah.
But to me, something of this nature, with this magnitude and the traffic side, we should have had some geometry that clearly depicted what you guys are going to do. The center lane of North Courtney is nothing more than a left turn bidirectional. That's all it is. It's not what every person uses it for, a deceleration or acceleration. It is not designed for that. That's what it's being used for. So there's going to be a treatment that's got to be better than what's there. That's all.
Yes, so this will go on the site plan review and everything once the rezoning is approved, but it has to be approved for them to move into like the site design and any geometrical reviews of that intersection. So for now, the only thing that we know is that there is availability for that right turn lane and that they will be able to construct it because that's part of their frontage. But that's the amount of information that we have for now.
Okay.
But yeah, definitely we are looking into that part of the traffic, and we know that for example, if those are 2 different lots, if, for example, one of the lots was developed without, the one in Pioneer was developed without the other one, all that traffic would be impacting the road along Pioneer Road. And in this case, the trip distribution, and based on the regional planning model, that we use for the trip distribution is showing that 68% of the trips would go to and from the north, and 32% would go to and from the south. Basically, that is showing that the amount of trips that would be allocated to Pioneer, they will still have or use that road, but not all of the trips will be using that road. We're expecting 35 peak hour trips, and that is close to 1 vehicle per minute on the peak hour. And based on that, we'll be like doing all the reviews and everything. But if, for example, another development was proposed here and they would not have the access along Pioneer, along North Courtney, those trips would be only allocated to Pioneer. And if a development that is less intense than the Range Water is what Range Water is proposing, they would likely not be analyzing any traffic impacts on the at the intersection. So that's one of the things that we fortunately are reviewing what are the impacts on that intersection, and we are able to propose improvements that can mitigate not just the impacts of the development, but also can help with the current queuing issues that they have.
Good.
Thank you.
Let me clarify a few things. What I was trying to explain, Mr. Minibu, is that there would be a 100-foot buffer here, and that Pioneer would be extended eastward, because right now the turn lane ends right at this property line. So the turn line to go north, the turn lane would be extended because it's going to be property that they're purchasing. This are multifamily, so the trip generation is about 7.5 per trip. So that's why it's less than 3,000. Also, as you may be aware, FDOT is putting a median in down this road, and they're not going to let any new median cuts. So they're in discussions with the current owner of the health center complex there to do a cross-access so people can get through the median. Right now, it's an in-out, it's a right in, right out on the north entrance there. So again, this could be commercial. I mean, it's Res 15 with neighborhood commercial on the north portion. If it was intended to have commercial here, the trips generated would be substantially more than that. Also, too, if peak hour going on to Pioneer is only 35, that's 1 every 2 minutes. That's not a great amount. She did do the school counts as well. I don't know if you understood the impacts of that or not, but we have looked at the school, and we would work with the school board, too, to try to figure out how to manage some of their traffic. Right now, we were told by the residents that they're cutting through the subdivision to go north because the turn lane doesn't go east enough. So that's what we would be working on. But again, there is still capacity on Courtney, just the county's ordinance won't let us take it all. We wouldn't take it all, and we would enter into a proportionate fair share agreement to assist the county with whatever they thought needed to be done. Because to try to align to the west, if you add an extra lane to go south, it messes up the alignment on the west side of the road. So the best we can offer right now is Pioneer Road, extending the turn lane to the east to go north, and then our proportionate fair share so the county can try to fix this problem. Because we don't have all the answers and we don't have the right of way to fix it. Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Jolly.
Is this going to have security gates?
No.
Okay.
If you're queuing, you can't.
Say again?
There would be queuing that would back up, so no.
No, that's why I asked.
The initial plan did incorporate that.
I can't hear you.
The initial plan that we contemplated did have security gates, but based on the constraints that we were working around, it got too tight to allow for queuing, as Kim mentioned.
Okay. Now, in this diagram here, it's different than the one that we received originally in our
Correct.
package. Where is the access going to be on the south side here?
Yeah, we've negotiated a cross-access easement with the medical office property so that we have a secondary access point, which is required for emergency services, but also it would, be contemplated as a secondary access point. But as you can see from the site plan, the majority of residents are going to use the main entrance going, north-south.
Is
off
that
Courtney.
with the current owner?
Yes, and that's with the current owner of the medical office property. It's also under contract we've negotiated with the individual that has it under contract.
Okay. I live in that, north of that area. The traffic going toward the barge canal,
Yes.
or up to 528, is horrendous.
Mhm.
It backs up all the way to Pioneer.
Okay.
And by putting that many units at that spot is going to cause a problem.
Yep.
You're agreeing with me.
Well, I'm waiting.
So you're
I'm
saying you're
listening-
not
I'm
gonna do
listening
it?
to hear what everything you have to say, yes.
Okay. There has to be a better way. I mean, there is a traffic light at Pioneer, which means that the better decision would be to have the traffic come out at Pioneer rather than to come out onto Courtney directly from your site. It would alleviate a lot of the traffic problems that you would have. However, the people that live down the road off of Pioneer in those neighborhoods onto Sykes Creek will probably object to that because it would back up all the way to Sykes Creek. I don't know, it's a strange request here to have that many units, that many vehicles, to be right there. I mean, I'm all for apartments being put up. Is this apartments or condos?
Apartments, yes.
Apartments, okay. So they're all renters. I don't know, I think it's a problem. And I can't bring up the wetlands. Is there any wetlands on this site?
There are. So the pocket of green north of the medical office is wetlands that we are preserving.
Where that rectangle is that
Correct.
you
We're
have there?
preserving about an acre of wetlands.
Okay, because these maps are not.
And that's formally delineated with St. John's River Water Management District.
Right, I understand that. The 100-foot buffer is a good idea.
Yes.
I think the neighbors would like that, but I think that many units is going to be a problem.
If I can respond?
Sure.
We contemplated having a primary access point off Pioneer based on the feedback that we received from the community. That was not
they don't want it.
received. So that is why we've shifted the focus in the primary access off of North Courtney. As Kim mentioned, there will be a median installed along North Courtney Parkway that is slated for, I believe, spring of 2027 to commence. So by the time this property is built in early 2028, mid-2028, if we're successfully rezoned and permitted, the median would be installed. So that would...
The median on
North Courtney.
On North Courtney. That's going to make things even worse.
That's beyond my pay grade. But I'm not a traffic engineer and I don't work for FDOT.
I'm not either,
that's
but,
what,
logic tells me that that's going to be a problem.
FDOT, and I can ask Daniela to speak to this, but, it restricts the amount of accident-prone turns that are being generated left and right coming out of the neighboring communities north and south of this property.
Including your property.
Address the unit count, we initially contemplated a higher zoning designation, RU 230 for the entire site. Since the future land use for the east side of the property was RU 215, we decided that it was best to proceed with that, just given the proximity to the residential neighbors.
Mhm.
So we, originally were showing 240 to 250 units. That has been dropped down to 222 units based on that zoning designation.
Could you drop it down even more and still be profitable?
No.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Mr. Eric, yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I just have a question. I think one of them was answered. These are apartments, right, not condominiums?
Yes.
Can I ask you, what determination or what considerations do you take when you decide to build apartments instead of condominiums?
Sure. Our entire business model is apartments, rental housing. Condominium housing is a challenging business to be in, just based on the events of 2007, 2008, the GFC, and then subsequently in Florida, the challenges with high-rises in South Florida. It is a very challenging and sticky business proposition. So the majority of developers outside of your major cities, New York, Miami, rental housing that is being developed across the nation. It's not condominium development. It's just a challenging business model.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
the clubhouse, is that a single story?
It is single story, yes.
And the, where you got rid of the retention pond, you put in the 100 buffer, is that buffer going to be vegetative or is this going to be grass?
It'll be a mixture of, we are still working out, there's new stormwater requirements that are affecting the state level. So we're still determining if that's a retention pond, if that's native grasses and dry retention. It's going to be a combination of water and vegetation and tree preserve along that 10 feet buffer along the east side as well as the 50 feet on the north side.
Okay. Is it possible to make that 10-foot buffer a little bigger?
We can make it 15, yes. Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure the residents would appreciate having a bigger, thicker buffer there.
Yes.
Are you going to be able to preserve the trees?
We are going to be able to preserve the trees. The reason the north side we had a tree survey completed. The trees along the north side there's several trees, and we met with Mr. Clamp on his property and reviewed them that are very mature and beautiful. So we were focused on maintaining those. On the east side, there are mature trees. It's not to the scale that it was on the north side. So
Okay. Thank you.
yes.
Do you know, you did do a tree survey, what type of trees were on that east property line?
I don't have
Just
that.
generally?
I don't have that in front of me.
Pines, oaks?
Go ahead.
It was a mixture of all species. There was some native vegetation, there was some exotics and stuff in there. It was kind of all over the place, palm trees, pines, a couple oaks.
I mean, the oaks I'm not so worried about in a 10-foot buffer, but the pine trees they're going to die. I mean, you look at them and they die. You drive by it, it's dead. So those won't make it. From a buffer perspective, I guess, through the site plan process, you could enhance that with plantings and such.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and that's our plan.
Sure. I just wanted to clarify. Thanks.
I bet it won't be Australian pines.
I have another question.
Yes, sir, Mr. John.
The neighbor to your west, I'm looking at the appraisal district. It seems that somebody owns the parking lot.
Correct.
But the buildings, the larger building is a condominium project.
Correct.
Okay, and then the smaller one, I can't tell if it's a condo. No, just says Merritt Medical Center.
There
Okay.
are 3 ownership entities, and they collectively own the 2 condo owners that own the 2 smaller portions of the property, have a easement with the owner of the parking lot, and then we have negotiated a easement with the owner of the parking lot, with the approval of the existing owners of the condos.
You answered my question.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? I'm going to take, if you could stand by one, I'm going to take it back out to the audience. Does anyone want to speak for or against this item? All right, if we could do like we did before, let's please try not to be repetitive with your concerns. And we'll give you 2 minutes each to speak.
My name is Chelsea True. My last name is spelled True. I live in the neighborhood directly adjacent to this site. I want to be clear, I'm not opposed to development. Growth is inevitable and it can bring positive improvements to our community. My concern is that this specific project at this scale on this particular corner does not align with safe or responsible planning for Merritt Island. I also want to stress that I am not opposed to multifamily housing. I previously worked for a firm involved in multifamily construction and development services in Seattle, Washington. This request for rezoning that enables this request is a rezoning that enables a significant increase in density immediately adjacent to single-family neighborhoods, and that deserves careful scrutiny. I understand the sale is contingent on a rezoning, which underscores how significant this change of land use is. According to the Space Coast TPO data, traffic on North Courtney Parkway has increased by over 40% in roughly 2 years, rising from 27,000 vehicles per day to over 38,000 today. This corridor is already experiencing peak hour congestion and is scheduled for major access changes, including median modifications and new signalization at Via Della Reina. While the project may technically meet concurrency today, concurrency measures thresholds and not real-world functionality during peak hours or under changed access conditions. Traffic studies conducted in the coming month will capture a snapshot in time, but they won't reflect what this corridor will look like after continued growth and planned roadway reconfiguration in 2027. Additionally, clearing the remaining tree canopy on the site reduces natural stormwater absorption and shifts runoff impacts to surrounding neighborhoods, often requiring public drainage retrofits later on. My request is not to halt growth, but to ensure density is approved where infrastructure readiness and neighborhood compatibility are aligned. Approval decisions would account for documented growth trends and planned roadway changes, rather than assuming current conditions will remain unchanged. That's why Mira voted to recommend denial. The concerns align with long-term planning and not opposition to housing. Thank you.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
Hello. My name is Susan Cole, C-O-L-E. I was at the meeting in December as well, so I don't want to go over all the stuff. We've already been there before. But generally, I'm concerned that this new development will negatively affect all the existing residents in the neighborhood there. The desirability of our neighborhood is going to go down, and that, of course, is going to affect our home values, which will also go down. Specifically, I'm concerned a little bit about the parking, because they did say it was going to be 1.75, 1.6 spaces per unit, but it's going to be 1 to 3 bedroom apartments. This area is not a walkable. We have to drive everywhere we go. We drive to our grocery stores, work, everything. So now with parking, even a 1-bedroom place is going to have 2 cars, more than likely. Or a 3-bedroom could have 3 or 4 people in there driving. So there's not enough parking. So what's the plan for the overflow parking? What's the plan for the guests, the holidays, when they come? There's not going to be. Are they going to go on Pioneer? Are they going to park in front of the houses, find parking, and just walk to the apartments? That's not a good option. The other thing is, I'm worried also about the traffic. One thing that hasn't been mentioned is there's 2 ways to get into the development. They're going to go around into Via di Lorene, and that people bike, kids bike, they do their scooters, people are walking dogs. It's a very walkable, lovely neighborhood. And now, once people get that little trick that we can cut through the neighborhood 3,000 times, what is it, the amount of traffic they were saying, more people, cars going through, people are going to get hurt. And it's going to really be hard, again, for the desirability of the people that are there now.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Gregory McClaskey, MCC, LASKY. I think a lot of the things have already been brought up about traffic, although some real-world experience on it. Coming here today, for example, it was backed up from the school all the way around Pioneer, almost to Courtney, and the cars are kind of parked half on the shoulder, half on the street, so people have to go in the left lane to get around all these cars. And so we've got a safety issue with an elementary school with kids, young kids, walking to and from as well. So the safety issue is really important. We didn't talk about the evacuation plan. It's very difficult to get in and out of there. It's going to make much worse if we get into a hurricane situation where we're in evacuation. I want to remind everybody that this was rejected unanimously by the North Merritt Island Development Agency because of these issues. The flooding has gotten worse because of the increase from Starbucks and the assisted living home and the car wash. So we're having a lot more trouble in the neighborhoods with the flooding. So I don't think that they've taken into account the groundwater rising up like was discussed earlier in the meeting. Privacy issues, it sounds like they've taken care of a lot of it. Parking was already addressed. Somebody had mentioned also that there may be a wildlife issue across Pioneer, that there's an eagle nest or something in there, and that might be an issue as well, because they were saying that would obviously cause them to have to deal with a lot more. Thank you very much.
All right. Hey, thank you, sir.
Hi.
My name is Kimberly Jarvis, oh, can you hear me?
You can pull that down closer
Oh.
to you. There you go.
Thank you. My name's Kimberly Jarvis, J-A-R-V like Victor, I-S like Sierra. I am a volunteer with Audubon's Eagle Watch program. And I'm the person that spoke at the Merritt Redevelopment Agency meeting. And I don't know how well this, I don't know how you work this critter. It looks like right? There's a little, I wish I had bigger paper, but there's a little blue dot right here. That's my eagle nest. That's an active eagle nest. There's what's supposed to be a circle, but the way I cropped it, I need
Ma'am,
to
could
pull it out
you
more.
pull that microphone over
Oh,
to you?
sorry.
There you go.
Okay, anyway.
I did hear, though, the blue dot you said is
The
an
blue
active.
dot is the eagle nest. What's supposed to be a circle, is just the way I pulled it out, is a 660-foot buffer we're supposed to maintain between us and the nest. I'm guessing all these houses were built before the eagles moved in. It is an active nest. That's one of the adults. Sorry, the picture is a little out of focus, but I'm using a 2x teleconverter at 150 to 600 millimeter lens and zoomed all the way up to 600, which means I have to use manual focus, and let's just say it doesn't work real well. And as you can see, there are actually two eaglets in the nest. There's one of them, one of the adults. The other one kept big like a jack-in-the-box, up and down. And it appears that they are incubating a third egg. So there's a possibility of 3 eaglets in there. All the noise from the construction, the traffic, the additional traffic is going to disturb that nest. I mean, let me go back to my map here. It's hard to tell on this map, but the 660-foot buffer cuts the southeast corner of the protected development, and that will affect all that noise, all the construction, that will affect the eagles in a negative manner. And I don't think FWC would be very happy about that. Because eagles are a federally protected, bald eagles are a federally protected species.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, and just please keep in mind my eagles.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else want to speak for or against this item? I'm going to give you one more chance, and I'm going to close public comment. Okay, I'm closing public comment on item H11. Sir, yes, if you could come back up to the podium.
So to address Ms. Jarvis's detail on the bald eagle's nest, so as Ms. Jarvis mentioned, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, there's 2 radiuses that they document, 330 feet and 660 feet. To impact and develop within 330 feet is a much more intensive process, permitting process to get approved. Within 660 feet, there's, it's a different process. But as Ms. Jarvis mentioned, it does bisect the very corner of our property right here, and we are prepared to preserve that sliver of the land to not impact that 660 feet. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions from board here? Don't get quiet on me now. We were doing good.
I fell asleep.
Okay, Kim.
Thank you again for the opportunity to speak and for listening to us. This is an unusual project for Merritt Island, I agree. It's a needed project. It's an infill project. We'll bring new apartments, will be new opportunities for people to move into the area, to work in this area. I did want to just a couple of comments. First, most of this property is already residential 15, and that is residential 15. We're asking for RU2 15, which makes sense. Everything else to the Everything to the east is like Res 6, although it's developed as single-family home. So then the RU 230 is just those 4 buildings that are on the west side there that abut Courtney. And then there's neighborhood commercial, which could be developed 4 acres of neighborhood commercial, which could be intense traffic as well. Regarding the FDOT improvements, FDOT is doing that to help the situation. There's also putting in another stoplight to the north of this. I think it's at Villa Del Reina, which is supposed to be put in. Our traffic engineer has spoken to them, and they don't know how that's going to impact capacity and concurrency. However, that's something that is a site plan issue. Concurrency capacity is a site plan issue. If we get the zoning and we can't build, or we have to reduce lots, that's how it works. But I did want to cite to the county code, section 62-613, that if there's a lack of capacity to satisfy transportation concurrency, the applicant shall be notified in writing of the opportunity to satisfy transportation concurrency. So we're asking for that opportunity. The road is not at capacity, but the county regulations make it at capacity, and concurrency is an issue because of that. The other issue is flooding. Again, section 62-37241 says that the floodwater discharge shall not impact neighbors, and they will make sure that it does not. They've been out there, they've looked at the canals, they understand what's going on. They will take whatever water is coming off the road as they have to do. So those, again, are the flooding are site plan issues. The engineers don't look at a snapshot in time. They look at what's existing and what's proposed. They use a concurrency rate. They use an average rate. It's not just what's there today. It's what's projected for a period of time. Again, the parking issue is a code issue. They've suggested 1.75 parking spaces. That's higher than Woodfield. And that's an agreement with whatever happens. If it's not at code, there's an alternate parking agreement that has to be approved through county commission. Parking will meet code. That's not an issue for rezoning. Again, evacuation plan, those are all things that are considered. Evacuations happen over time. Not everyone jumps on the road at one time unless they're just behind. The flooding because of Starbucks, again, if that's true, that's going to be picked up by the engineer of record. And the wildlife issue, we've already agreed that they're not going to impact that range there. So with that, again, remind you that this binding site plan was put in place in 1983 and it hasn't been developed because it didn't make sense. This is an infill project that does make sense, and that the developer's working with the neighbors to give them the buffers that they want and they deserve, and that they will do whatever is needed for transportation concurrency. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask Kim a question real quick, or Ms. Rezanka?
Yes, ma'am.
So totally understand it's a site plan issue, but traffic is the, topic at hand. With respect to and I've gotten stuck on this on a couple projects myself with this kind of built-in moratorium that happens when you hit 85% capacity. You talked about the PFS. I understand that component. Have you guys had a conversation with Brevard County Traffic? You said you want the opportunity to talk with them to figure out how to mitigate it. Do you know what that mitigation strategy is, if in fact that comes to be? And is that something that the project financially can bear? Not my business, but
we've run
thought
the numbers,
through that.
and the developer has assured me that he can bear that amount. So we did, the traffic engineer, because it's formulas in the ordinances, and Daniela did run them, and Michael has agreed that he can afford that built into the project, in addition to the $500,000 impact fees.
Right, and do you know what those impacts are, what those improvements would necessitate or require?
We don't know because of that alignment with that intersection, and because of the Starbucks and the power poles and the light poles. We don't know.
So you're just making an assumption on whatever that cost is, throwing
right.
in a formula and making that work.
And
Got
if
it.
they demand more, they demand more. I mean, it's the development is willing to take that on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir, Mr. John.
One more thing. I noticed that you have a lot of impermeable surfaces here. Are you putting in any retention ponds? Because you're not showing any on this.
Yes, so the area along the east.
On the east, that's what I thought you
Right,
would
yep.
do. If you do that, then there won't be really a buffer because you wouldn't be able to put trees in it. So the neighbors to the east would be looking at a pond or a dry retention
There's two
pond.
shades of green on the plan that you have there. The darker green's going to be the buffer.
Yeah, I
It's
see
gonna-
that, okay.
Yep,
And
that'll
the
be,
other will be retention?
correct. Yes, sir.
So it's not really a buffer, okay. Because you're giving them 100 feet, and you're not utilizing that as an obstruction for view.
Well, there will be along the property line there.
I
with-
see that, the trees that you have there, but it may not be sufficient for 3-story buildings on the other side. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Can I just clarify too? Is it, based on what you said, it could be wet detention, it could be dry, we don't know yet because of the new rules, St. John's rules, trying to figure out the new nitrogen phosphorus, how to apply
You're
this, that
aware
sort
of
of thing?
what's going on in the new rule, and
Unfortunately, yes.
this is discharging into Sykes Creek, which has the most stringent criteria based on the new rule. So we're in the process of figuring a combination of dry retention, wet retention, other mechanical systems,
Underground,
combination
things.
of different ways to meet the new criteria.
Okay, then I got one more question, excuse me. Sewer capacity. I know Sykes Creek is, the sewage treatment plant is at almost at capacity. Where are you getting sewage shown in here?
So I
You're
know that
not?
there's
You're not doing sewage?
They're not at capacity.
They're 90%, aren't they?
I agree with Kim.
I'm not helping you design,
She's
but
a
that flow
lawyer.
may be going north. That flow may be going north, so.
So I don't know the answer to that yet. I know
Okay.
that there's sewer available, there's mains that were put in as part of the previous development.
No, I understand that
Right,
part,
but-
but you're adding to it now with
Of
200 and how many
course.
units? 222 units?
And of course, the county's not going to let us put more capacity to their plant than what's available, so that's something that we'll obviously have to
You
address.
have to go when your
If-
site plan
if it
approval.
become- If it becomes an issue, that's something that we'll have to address at that time.
Thank you.
I have a question, it might be for staff. If this zoning isn't changed to allow this, what can that property be used for now? What can they do there now?
Well, what is it?
Currently, right now, the property is Zone AU, which is agricultural residential, requires 2.5-acre lots.
There's lots more uses.
Yeah, you could put a hospital there.
So it'd be all the permitted uses under the AU zoning classification, but primarily it's residential. And it can have some agricultural uses on it.
Could have a dude ranch.
I would also argue it's vested for a hospital and additional clinic uses because it's an existing use that's there and it's covered by a binding site plan.
Yeah, I was going to follow up with that. Because there's a BSP on the property, wouldn't be able to use for the residential. It would have to be used for additional medical center buildings to go on the site.
Staff, if there was a hospital hypothetically built there, what's the highest we could go with a hospital there? How many floors? Is it 32 feet, right?
No, it's 6 stories, I think, because of the other one down the road.
35?
is the normal limit, yeah, but you can get a variance on the island for a hospital. Because they did that for the one with the old Kmart work.
Be 35 feet. Yes, the residential would be restricting it, also the AU zoning.
Yes, sir. Hop in.
Thank you very much. My name is Thomas Lee, L-E-I-G-H. Appreciate everyone's time and all of the neighbors' comments. I just wanted to add, and I think this was mentioned by one of the neighbors, and I wanted to address it directly, about property values and, you know, all of the issues presenting our surrounding neighborhood, the traffic. You know, part of what we do and the reason we love what we do is we improve the areas around where we build. We're not the sort of developers who come in, bulldoze and leave. We are integrated into these communities deeply. The reason this site plan has been changed, I don't even know how many times, is because we want to respect and honor everyone around us. Typically, our renters have less cars than single-family residents. Merritt Island is going through significant changes based on the employment coming to town. The makeup of the American household is changing with it, and we want to offer that option close to the employment that they have. But we're not building, not that there's anything wrong with affordable or workforce housing, but this is a beautiful luxury amenitized product that, young engineers, very highly paid engineers need somewhere to live, and there isn't the existing stock. That's the only comment I wanted to mention, and I hope that when we leave, the area will be better for it. The roadway, the stormwater, all of it. We're not adding problems. We want to remove problems that exist in the locale. That's my only comment. Thank you very much.
I'm going to bring it back to the board.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Just a reminder, the Merritt Island Board recommended a denial. I would like to comment the organization for the response they've made to people's requirements. I think they've did a very admirable job. My concern with this, though, is that I drive that road occasionally. It's never a pleasant experience, never. It's always backed up, and as John said, it's backed up from 520 or about half a mile down, maybe sometimes longer when I'm there. And all of these people are going to be going, I think, in that direction and just make that worse. And then on top of that, I just heard that the state's going to come in and put a median in there. That takes up a whole roadway. Unless they're going to expand the total size of the roadway, that's going to make that thing worse. It may be better from a safety point of view of making left turns, but traffic-wise, now it's going to back up way past Pioneer.
Well, I don't want to misspeak, but I think, aren't you willing to look at that as far as the traffic issue also?
So we're analyzing existing no-build and build conditions, and the medium will be part of the considerations that we take. But that's an FDOT project, so it would be on the no-build conditions and the build conditions.
Any other comments or questions, board?
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to make a motion to approve this project.
Second.
Is that Debbie?
Yep.
A motion by Neil, a second by Debbie in favor for item H11. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, I have a question. So does that approval include any of the conditions that the things that the applicants offered today in the meeting?
Yes.
So can we restate are you asking them to do a BDP to memorialize the things that they offered? You're including that in the motion?
Yes. Yeah, I understand what you're saying, and yes, I would make that as part of the motion with the BDP.
Okay. Thank you.
So we probably need a head count or hand count for those that voted yay.
For which? For yes.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I don't.
I can see. Did you get it? Oh, you want to do roll call?
Yeah, can we just go down the line, Mr. Chair? That'd be appreciated. Thank you.
Yes. Henry?
Yes.
Yes.
No.
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 Yes.
No.
No.
Yes. Yes.
No.
Yes.
You don't get a vote.
Well, if it's a tiebreaker.
Only if it's a tiebreaker.
Okay, so it seems like it's 7 yes, 7 no, so the motion fails. So you want to do the opposite vote now? Well,
It's not over
yeah,
yet,
we're
the
not done
voting.
yet.
We have to bring up another motion.
Anyone want to make a motion in the opposite? Just
Motion
we-
to deny?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, a motion to deny item H11 by John, a second by Ruth. All those in favor to deny?
Aye. You're going to get the same hands.
It's going to be the same.
It's still
count.
7-7, so if you would like to table, or we can provide that to the Board of County Commissioners, your guys' vote as it's 7-7 tie.
We would like to go forward with that recommendation. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
So we'll report to the board that it was a 7-7 tie, either way. Thank you.
All right.
That's fine.
Good luck at the county commissioners.
I'm so sick and tired of these sticks going up all over the county.
Can I vote twice?
I'm going to take a little 1-minute break again.
Those darn kidneys. Can you take longer? Also, they own both. This part, the part that they're talking about, and the parking lot, it's all one owner. They I don't think they bought this one yet. It's too many units. Because I drive up here all the time. I live there. No. They will not fix the problems. They're not extending.
Okay.
Stamina.
We'll do item H12.
Are you sure? H12.
We're trying.
Beverly Jean Richardson.
Beverly, this better be quick.
She's being represented by Angel Myers. Requests a zoning classification change from RU19 to RU2-4. Application is 25Z00055, located in District 1.
Okay, ma'am, if you'd state your name and spell your last name for the record.
No problem. Good evening, Chairman, board members, and staff. My name is Angel Myers. Last name is Myers. I'm a realtor at LPT Realty, and I'm here today representing Ms. Beverly Jean Richardson with her authorization. We are here to request that the 2 homes that's on the property that was originally built in 1959 be rezoned so they can be properly legitimized for the seller purchase. This came about, we was under contract back in October with a closing date of October 13th, and was notified by the buyer's lender that there was a zoning issue, so everything had to come to an immediate halt. So we reached out to the Planning and Zoning Department, where we had the pleasure of meeting Mr. Paul Bodie. And I would like to give him his kudos, because with his guidance, he has been very instrumental in navigating us through this process. And on November 14th, we actually did a conference call with everybody, the seller, the buyer, the 2 realtors, the lender, all with Commissioner Delaney. And she said, too, she heard what the zoning issue was, but we got to go through protocol. So she said you have to still go to the planning and zoning, which we are here today because you are the recommendation board. And if everything gets approved, then we still have to go through the county commissioner, and they give the final say as well. But she did say that she appreciated hearing how knowledgeable we was and how supportive Mr. Paul Bodie was through the process. And everybody's on board, the buyer, the seller, the realtors, everybody. And the buyer, of course, wanting to close in October, but is still holding out with the hopes that we can get this zoning issue rectified.
Well, this is just protocol, but I see one lady back there, but I know she's not going to speak yea or nay for this, but
Yes, sir.
all right. So now we're going to close it for public comment, get that out of the issue, and I'm going to bring it back to the board.
Mr. Chairman, can I make a motion that we approve
I have questions.
this issue?
I have questions for staff.
I'll second.
Wait,
All right, hold on one second, because she already, Ms. Ruth said she has some questions for staff.
When I was looking at the maps, this RU2-4, that's a new zoning into this area. And if I have it right, does this include allowing resort dwellings? Because
Yes,
this
the
isn't a
RU24
neighborhood that
does
concerns me.
Permit resort dwellings, which is short-term rental under 90 days in a row. There is some multifamily that is to the west, I think we pointed out, to the east, sorry. RU24, then there's our RU210 and RU232 on the west side east side of Harry Moore Avenue.
Right, Harry T. Moore Avenue is a main thoroughfare into that area where this is off into the neighborhood. And where US 1 also has commercial, Harry T. that is a major road through there, so it's a little bit different. I was just concerned about resort dwellings being allowed to go in there and introducing that.
Yes, it is a permitted use in the RU24. The short-term rental resort dwelling.
Any other comments, Ms. Ruth?
Is it possible if they were in agreement to restrict it to no resort dwellings? I mean, that would be my recommendation, just to make sure that it stays residential, because it is a residential neighborhood.
You can always make that request. It's up to the county commission then again.
And you do have a first and a second, so there is a motion on the floor right now. So
Right.
they'd have to amend that, but yes.
Would you be
could do
amenable
that.
to amending that motion to
I would
include
be.
that?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, and it's going to be used as a personal residence.
If that's okay with the applicant?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's the buyer, so
You're the
she's.
Yeah, okay. I'll amend that motion.
You want to go ahead and amend that then, Robert, make the motion?
Make a motion to approve with the, not allowing resort dwelling.
I'll second it.
Okay, we got a motion by Robert, a second by Erica on items H12 in favor. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passed unanimously.
Thank you. So then the
All
next
right.
step is go February 5th,
Yes, ma'am, to the county commissioners meeting.
and is that back here?
It's right here.
Okay, yes, sir. Thank you, thank you.
Well, before everyone takes off, now
Well, we
we
gotta
still
do a
got one
motion.
more issue.
I nominate this young man as, stay as chair.
Second.
This is happening too quick here. You second? Who
I
second?
did.
Okay, a nomination for me as chair from John, a second by Neil. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, now we need a vice chair.
I nominate Henry Minaboo as vice chair.
Got a nomination for Neil, for Henry, for vice chair, a second by Debbie. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Yes.
Motion carries anyway.
Anywhere he
Okay.
wants.
In an open seat.
I want to make a recommendation here. But with all due respect, Mr. Hoffengardner, if we could take our normal seats back.
I
The
get
only
this one.
reason for, I'm not going to ask for that. They're not going to give it to us, are they?
No, they don't really, it's just for.
We need to find out about
Can-
these computers, if we can use the county commissioner's computer.
So I asked when I came in, and IT said, and they're like, and you don't have any access. So I don't know why they turn them on and come in when you don't have
Why
access to it.
can't we
Stu.
just get the
We're not
code?
gonna let your code in.
No.
Yeah, they've been real fussy about that.
Can I make a quick question, or have a question to staff real quick? When we have items like rezonings because someone's putting on a porch or they're trying to correct a zoning action, is there any way we can put those poor people at the very beginning, almost like a consent, so we can just knock them out and they're not stuck here until 6:30? Since they're required to come anyway? Are we able to do that?
Can we change the number of people on this board? Running out of chairs.
I know, but I mean, like, when the county changes the future land use or whatever, and we essentially create the problem, and then they come in to do a building permit, and then they have to spend time, money. One, I don't even think they should have to be paying for that application. I think it's ridiculous, but they are. And then they've got to sit here all afternoon going through all these other items when it's literally a motion and it's taken care of in about 2 minutes. Is there a way to maybe collectively group them? I don't know if anybody else feels like that, but I feel sorry for these folks that they're having to pay the fee and do all these other things. Like, let them go first and get out of here. Yeah, I mean, if there's a way to maybe put those kind of collectively at the beginning so we can just knock them out and let them go.
I mean, that could be handled at the beginning of the meeting, depending
When we
on how
just
many
look at that
people
and
show
move
up.
the-
Yeah, you just make a motion to
Okay.
take things out of order and
Sure.
just proceed as you have
Okay,
previously.
that's fine.
But that is an option,
Okay,
yes.
great, thank you so much.
Mr. Estes.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
The last county commission,
Do you need to talk to me offline, or do you want to do it?
no, I can do it online.
Okay.
The last county commission changed the makeup of this board to have 15 voting members and 2 non-voting members.
Yes, sir.
And what it used to be was 10 voting members and 5 alternates. Okay?
And non-voting members as well, yes.
And keeping the 2, no,
Yes.
there was only 1 non-voting member, and that was the military.
Correct.
Okay? School district had 1 that was voting. That was
Okay.
me. How can we get that changed? Because we're running out of chairs.
I mean, whatever your offer would be, I mean, you could bring it up amongst yourselves and then present it to the Board of County Commissioners so that they can amend the code like they did previously.
No, they just built that wall. Yeah. I mean, this guy wants to get rid of me, you know, so
No, I
he would
just
be.
want you to move down.
He
so-
wants-
He just doesn't want you sitting there.
Okay, meeting adjourned.
The opinions expressed by any member of the public during any period of public comment do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of the Board of County Commissioners of Brevard County, Florida, Space Coast Government Television, or the program sponsor, and are solely those of the presenter. The Board of County Commissioners of Brevard County, Florida, Space Coast Government Television, and the program sponsor hereby expressly disclaim any and all responsibility or liability for any defamatory or slanderous statements expressed by any member of the public during any such period.